video, we are going to be building this Facebook Messenger clone. Let's just jump straight into the demo of it. So let's just go, yo, Sonny, what is going on, my man?
I'll say back, what's up, Qazi? What's up? There we go. Real time. Nice.
Video, we are going to be building this Facebook Messenger clone. Let's just jump straight in. Nice. Okay, nice. Beautiful. So this is the demo of the app. It is live and working. And if you are here right now watching this, you can actually go to this link at the top here and be able to jump in with us and use it. Just please keep it clean. Because once people start coming in and they don't keep it clean, then we have to either ban them or something. So we want to make sure that the community stays extremely positive and awesome.
Exactly.
So I hope you guys are excited. If you're watching this video after this has been live, just remember, this is the app that you're going to be building from complete scratch. And we're going to be showing this in this demonstration in just one sitting. So buckle up, sit down, open up your Visual Studio Code, and it's going to be time to get to work soon.
Awesome.
Nice. So where should we go with this, Sonny?
So let's just jump straight in, I think. Shall we get started with creating our first React project?
Let's do it. So now we're going to go here. Let's go.
So we've got live share set up, right? So you can see what I'm typing right now. What's up, Qazi?
Yep. Is it looking good on YouTube, Frankie?
Nice. Awesome. Okay, so let's get started, guys. So the first thing we want to do is use something called Create React App to set up the whole template for the app. So what we're going to do is, Qazi, you just need to share a terminal with me. So if you click over to live share on the left.
Live share.
Yeah, and then click on share terminal.
Okay. Oh, actually, let me open the terminal first.
Nice.
Read and write.
Read and write.
And let me actually open the ZSH one so you can get access. So try getting access of this one.
Okay.
Nice, guys. We have 259 people live. That is amazing. Thank you guys for being here. Stick around. We're going to be building this app Facebook Messenger clone together, and we will be taking any questions you have along the way and answering them for you.
Awesome. Nice. 259 people. All right. So I think I've got access now, right? Not yet, actually.
Just ask for the access.
I did. I think you need to give it again. If I go to ZSH, read only right now. So if you go to the left, you see where it says ZSH on the left.
Yeah, it says read only. Yep, make, read, and write. Yep, there we go.
There we go. So now if I do ls. So, okay. So the first step we're going to do is inside of this folder, we're going to start our React project. So we do npx create React app.
Yeah.
And this command is basically going to, it's something Facebook's built, and it's just a little shortcut to setting everything up for us. So what should we call the app? Let's call it Facebook Messenger. Say Facebook
clone.
Messenger clone.
Nice. Done.
And that will set everything up that we need to get the app installed, app running.
I'm excited. This is going to be the app right here, guys. This is the app you're building.
That's it.
So,
guys, make sure you go over to that link and you can give it a try while it's up.
Yep, this is going to be beginner friendly. I mean, we're going to try to break it down as much as we can, but just the truth is that these live streams, because we have limited time and we're trying to do it all at once, you just have to like keep up with us, and then you can watch it later as well and then be able to build it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. While that's loading, Qazi, should we set up our Firebase?
Yeah, we can set up our Firebase. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, dope. So if you head over to firebase.com and log in. So guys, Firebase is a service provided by Google. It's just a bunch of tools. So it allows you to host websites. It allows you to have a database. It allows you to do machine learning and a bunch of other cool stuff. And it basically strips away all their headache, and it allows us to have a really powerful real-time database. This whole app is powered by Firebase on the back end. So all you need to do is have a Google account. You just need to go onto Firebase and then click on add
So
project.
Chirag, so he's saying that we can also make it with Node and Socket. That's so much more complicated than the way we're gonna show you guys, because Firebase is fire for a reason. I mean, this thing it makes it easier, and you don't have to deal with Socket IO and all that other complexity.
Exactly, and you guys will see just how simple it is when we get building.
All right, so let's go Facebook
Messenger clone. Nice.
Okay.
And then we can disable that if you want, or enable. Yeah. Awesome. And that should set everything up for our project. And let's check on, so we can see while that's loading, let's jump back over to the code. So let's have a look. We've got the code open now and everything's gone well. So now what we need to do is go into the folder that was created for us. So we just do CD and then we do Facebook Messenger clone, and then we enter, and now we're inside of the React app that was built for us. And guys, if you've never used React before, it's super simple. Oh, look, we got some people jumping into the Messenger app. Nice. If you've never used this before, all you need to do to get started on the React app is just do npm start. So have a look at that, Qazi. So check out.
Oh, nice. We have people coming in. Yeah. Radiant says, what's up? Good to build this today. Nice. Yeah. So you guys can actually go to this link. Maybe, Frank, you want to drop this link? And you can drop it into... you have our ngrok link?
I just dropped it in the chat.
Nice.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah. Actually, maybe I have the restream chat, and we might be able to drop it there.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Also, guys, let's not spam the chat. Can we do this with Python? We can do it with Python.
Yeah. Please, guys, once you guys jump into this app, just don't spam it. Just treat it with love and just write a few messages just so everybody can get to test it.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay. So let's go back to the code and let's carry on with that. So we've got, once we've got our React project set up, what we need to do is in the terminal, we just run one command called npm start, and then we hit enter, and that just spins up the app for us. And what we're going to see, if everything goes well, is it should fire up localhost 3000. It starts the browser for us, or a Chrome tab, and then you should see this. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we want.
Nice.
And what I always recommend is we always do a cleanup process. So if let's go over to our files now in VS Code.
Yep. Files.
Let's open up files, and then let's open up Facebook Messenger.
And we'll delete this one too, because this is just a dummy file we created.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only thing we really care about at this point is everything inside of source, right? So let's do a few cleanup steps. So let's delete all the test files.
Okay. So I'll go here, test, delete.
Yep. And set up test.js. We want to get rid of that.
Logo, delete.
Yeah, we can get rid of that. And in app.js, let's go to where it says import logo from at the top, and we'll get rid of
everything in that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and we'll write a h1 header.
And here we just call it, hello, clever programmers. Nice. Awesome. And at the top, you see it says failed to compile. That's because on line 2, we have this right there, so we can get rid of that.
Okay.
And
get rid of it, and now we have this. Hello, clever programmers.
So this is going to be your starting point for the app, guys, and you want to use this as your sort of base, like starting area. And if you get to this point, well done. So the next step, I guess, is let's get the input. Let's just kind of mask out what we're going to do. So we need to have an input field. So every sort of basic chat app has a few things. It has some kind of input field, right? And then we have an input button. So we're going to have a button which says send message. And then we're also going to have the messages themselves. So we kind of need the messages themselves to be listed out, right? So we're going to have the messages themselves.
Yep.
And what I recommend first is pretty much just doing a quick sort of dummy run through this. So if we add in a few things, so let's add in our first input. So an input here like this. And let's add in a button. So we have a button, and this button is just going to say send message. So here we have send message, and then we can save the file and we can go and check out the app and see how that looks. And you just want to carry on doing these baby steps, guys. Like, you never want to overcomplicate it, or sort of just take small little chunks every time you do this. So let's open up the app.
Our app here?
Yep.
Nice.
Nice. So there we have like our input box, and then we have send message. And what we need to do is, obviously we need to connect this, right? So we need to get this like functionally working right now. So there's a few things we need to do right now. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce something. So we actually need to use something called state. So in React, we have two fundamentals. We have state and we have props. We'll talk about props in a sec, but state is basically like a short-term memory. And what we use that for is to keep track of what we're typing when we write stuff inside of input. So the way we declare state is we're just going to do it like this. So this is the syntax to initialize a piece of state. So we say const input, and then here you have to have a convention. So someone said team of spirit. Nice. We say set input, and that's just a convention, guys. So usually you have the variable name, so the piece of memory in the state, and then you have set input, and then you have set and whatever the name of the variable is. So here the name is input, so we just camel case it. And then what you want to do is you say use state, and then you do open brackets, and then you basically put the initial value for what you want the input to be. So in our case, it's just going to be an empty string, because that's what we want to have in the input field to begin with. And to actually make this work, this is going to error if we save this right now. We have to import use state from React, just like that. And if many of you guys who have touched on React before might have heard of something called React hooks, this is an example of a React hook. And they're really powerful, small snippets of code. And you're going to see the power of it right now. Really nice, Qazi. See how many people are actually using the chat right now.
Oh, really?
Awesome. Yeah, it's really going off. Nice. Awesome.
On the ngrok one?
Yeah,
nice.
on the ngrok link.
Nice. That is so cool. They're like, this is epic. Nice. Yeah, we can see that. What's up, everyone? This app is lit. It's a really nice app. Damn.
Nice. We'll actually put this code up on GitHub, actually. Maybe afterwards we can put it as a public repo. That should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So what we'll do now is we'll have input, set input. And what we need to do now is we need to connect this piece of state, so the input state, to our input field. And there's two steps we need to do here, right? So, and what this is going to allow us to do is going to allow us to remember everything you type inside of that input field and then use it when we actually sort of trigger the send message function. So the first thing we need to do is click on, we need to type in value, and we need to map our state to the input field itself. So we've got value equals input, and you can see here now, if we was to save this and we run this, you're going to pretty much notice that you can type in, but there's nothing's going to happen.
So I can type, I'm trying to type and literally it won't let me do anything.
Exactly. And the reason why that's happening now is because when we set up that piece of state, we gave it an initial value, which was an empty string. We then mapped it to that input field. So we mapped it to the input field. And what that actually did was it said permanently stay to that empty string. So that means regardless if you're typing, it's just going to get stuck and be stuck in an empty string, which is not ideal, right? We don't really want that to happen. So now what we need to do is we actually need it to update the state as we type. So we use something called onChange, and onChange is going to fire off something called an event. So here we're using ES6 syntax, and here we're saying when the event gets fired off, so when you start typing in to the keyboard, we're going to say set the input. So we're going to say update the input, and you have to use this method whenever you want to change the input. So that it's React's clever way of telling it when and how to re-render. And what we do here is we say event.target.value. Oops, that's gone a bit weird. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Event.
Yeah.
Target. Yeah, I know, right? It sometimes has its own mind of its own, VS Code, but event target value. And what this will do is it will actually, so this captures the exact thing that you're typing.
You meant to write value, right? It says V.
Oh, mine's disconnected. What's wrong with that? On mine it says value right now. Let's see. If I do value, so value.
Now it says value. Just don't hit any autocomplete, because I think it says UE right here. Some weird stuff is happening.
So I think I need to rejoin the live. So I tell you what, let me just quickly grab the link because mine's gone out of sync with yours. It's happened. Yeah, so I'll just jump out of this one. Give me 1 sec. I'll come back.
Awesome.
All right, so it's not.
So yeah, guys, right now, basically what we're trying to do is make sure when we type stuff here, it actually changes and shows us the value. And then using that, when we hit the send button, what we'll be able to do is like start displaying the messages. And the styling for this app is quite heavy, but because we want to focus on just teaching you Firebase and React, we're gonna go really fast through the CSS portion of the app. So just try to keep up there. We're even gonna like maybe copy paste some code just so we keep the speed up. But then right after that, we're gonna get back into like building the app and explaining all the React and Firebase parts.
Exactly. It's just taking a while to load up. In the meantime, Qazi, what we can do is, while I'm getting this set up again, we can go into Firebase and we can set everything up there. We're going to need to set up a bunch of things.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So I'm in Firebase. So, project is ready to go.
Yeah. So you want to go over to Firestore. So on the you can start with that actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Also set up Firebase hosting for this app.
Exactly.
Register.
And that's going to allow us to actually be able to deploy it afterwards.
Nice.
Nice. And let's see. Now I'm in. Hey, there we go. I think it just went out of sync and went a bit weird.
Okay, here we go. Firebase tools.
Yeah.
And then Firebase login, Firebase init. So I'm done.
Awesome. Okay, so the next step you want to do is we can come back to the code now. Yeah, we can do that. So what we want to do now is remember what we were saying before, we mapped it to the input and then we done this set input, which is updating as we type, right?
Yep.
So now what we can do is we can actually console log. So let's do a console log input. And what we can do is if we run this and we open up the inspector now, we should be able to see as Qazi types into the input field, we'll be able to see in real time, it will show us the value inside of the state. And remember guys, state is like a short-term piece of memory. If you refresh, it's not going to keep it. So if we refresh, it gets rid of it. So you can see it comes up in Qazi's console right there. And now that we have that value, we can use it when we click the send message button. But before that, we couldn't do that because we didn't actually, there was no way of remembering what the value was that he put inside the input field.
Yeah.
Nice. So the next step is we're going to create a function called send message. So we're going to do send message and it's going to be fired off from the button. So we have to expect that it's going to have an event. And here what we do is to connect this, we do an on click. So here we're going to say on click and we do send message. So what this is going to do is when Qazi clicks on the send message button, it's going to fire off this function over here. And this is an ES6 function that we're looking at right now. And all we need to do here is basically, this is where we're going to say, basically like all the logic to send the message goes here, right? Goes here. Now, obviously, in order to have a list of messages, we actually need to have some way of storing those messages. So we're going to actually use another piece of state here. So we're going to have const, and we're going to call it messages, right? And here what we're going to do is we're going to say set messages. So this is going to be, instead of a string like we had for input, this is going to be an array. And the array is just going to be, it's going to represent, so initially we start off with an empty set of messages, right? And then what we want to do is when we click the send message button, we want to push whatever's inside the input. So whatever's Qazi's typed in, we want to push that into a list, so inside of an array. So the way we do that is we say set messages. So whenever he clicks send messages, we click set messages. And here there's a really nice ES6 little trick. So if you do the square brackets and then you do ... messages. So this is saying spread out whatever's in the current messages. So imagine if we had a bunch of things inside of this. We had A, we had B, we had C.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. There we go.
Nice. All we have, so imagine we had 3 different things inside of a array right now.
Yeah.
What this is going to do is it's actually going to spread them out. So what we're saying is keep all of the current messages, but append the input to the end.
Nice.
And the reason why we're going to do that is because imagine these were tasks. It'll be like, take dogs out. Or, oh no, sorry, we're not doing tasks right now. We're going to say like
messages.
Hello, and then
hi.
Yeah, and this one would be like hi, and this one would be like what's up.
Yep.
So imagine like Qazi typed into the input, and then when he hits the send message button, it's actually going to fire off this, and then it's going to set the messages to whatever it was plus the input.
Exactly. You don't want it to replace everything you have. You want it to like add it to the end of the array. Because if you don't have this line of code here, what it's going to do is it's going to just chop this entire thing off.
Exactly. And we want to keep a list and memory of what's going on.
Yeah.
So what we then want to do is we want to clear the input, so that way when he's hits send message, it's actually not going to show what the previous message was. So what we'll do here is we'll say set input to be blank afterwards. And this is literally all we kind of need at this point. But the thing is, right, we're not going to actually see anything on the output. So what I would recommend is you always console log your messages, so that way you can see exactly, just like we did when you typed in, we can also see when the messages. So let's
go take a look. Okay, test. Nice. So now I see when I wrote test, I also see the existing list that you had already with hello, hi, what's up.
Yep.
And if I send message, it added it to the end of the list. So new message. Now let's just say the name of some of the people who are here. So like Chirag is here. So let's write Chirag. And Yomna is here. So let's write Yomna. And Golam is here. So let's write Golam.
Nice. There we go.
Nice. So all of you guys just got appended to our array.
And actually Chirag said it's like push. Yes, it's like a push. But it's the spread.
Yo, Nazar Mali, what is up, bro?
Oh, nice.
Nice. Nazar Mali is the person who landed a 110K contract with JavaScript. I would love to catch up with you, by the way, Nazar. So if you want to hit me up in Slack or even send me an email, and then I want to actually get on a call with you.
Awesome.
Yeah, keep going.
Nice. Let's see, Firebase is a bit. Okay, so the next step we want to do is, so it's working. So now in the state, we have a list, right? We have a list of messages. So what we want to do at this point is if we go over to line 23.
Somebody just said, that's an amazing explanation of using the state hook.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
Because this is actually how me and Qazi sort of went over this. When Qazi
it was so confusing to me to understand how states worked. I was like, what is going on? This thing is mad confusing.
Yeah. And a lot of people get caught up on sort of, they tend to want to do something like this, right? Where they say input equals like ABC. You can't actually change the value like this. You have to use the set input or set messages. So that's just something to remember. Otherwise, you will run into issues if you do things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next part is obviously we have all the messages inside of the state. So if we go to line 24.
Line 24, yep, right here.
Yep. And what we can do is we can get rid of these 2 markers because we've already done that. And now we need to actually just have the messages themselves. So what we're going to do here now is notice how we can have JavaScript inside of this block. That's something called JSX. Yeah. So JSX is really cool because it allows you to have HTML and then some JavaScript inside and embedded inside. Yeah. So what we do is we have the curly braces. And then
so you can see here's some regular HTML stuff, and then here's the squiggly, and then there's some JavaScript being executed in there.
Exactly. So all you need to do is add these little curly braces, so these little squiggly brackets, and then everything inside will be interpreted as JavaScript. So you get the really nice mix of the 2 things. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say messages dot map. And map is a really powerful ES6 function because what it's going to do is we're going to map through everything in every single item inside of the messages array. So each item is referred to, in this case, as a message, right?
Yeah.
We're going to say go through every single message, and then we're going to put parentheses. So we're just open close brackets, and that just means return something. Right? And what we're going to do then is we are going to say, so let's just return in this case a p tag. So a p tag, And for every single message, we just put the message like this. So what this is going to do is going to loop through that array that we saw earlier, the one that Qazi was populating as he hit send message.
Yep, this array right here. And it's going to loop through and it's just going to display each of those messages.
Exactly.
So map is like a fancy way to loop through. Instead of writing like a for loop and all that, guys, you guys should start using map. It's super clean.
Yeah. And the difference between a map and a for each is that a map returns something, which is what we want to do here. We're trying to return some HTML elements.
Nice. Okay.
So if we save that, and then we should be able to see that on the screen now. So nice.
Hold on. Let's go. Let's make it have screen like that. Okay, cool. Ah, nice. So we now are seeing. So once you mapped it out, it's basically like looping through and then like popping that hello right there, and that hi is right here, and then this what's up is right there.
Yeah. Qazi, if you just press Command B on your VS Code.
Oh, beautiful. That's awesome.
That's yeah, and even Command J to hide the terminal while we code. There we go. Then you should get a little bit more space.
Okay.
Perfect. Nice. So if you just type in now, so when you type a message, you should be able to see it working.
Hey, send message. Yo, what is going on? Nice. Now all the messages are starting to show up. And it's like, guys, I'm not even refreshing. So it looks so clean. It's like just all of this is happening without any refresh. That's kind of awesome.
Nice. Yeah, and exactly. And the main thing is, right, React is reactive. So that's the way it's always, it's an easy way to remember it. That's why they called it React, because it just reacts to the certain changes. That
nice. We're still getting people messaging here. So that's awesome.
Nice. Awesome.
All right, go for it.
The next bit we want to do is we want to get rid of that little markdown that we had, so the little comment that we had, and we basically just want to now, I guess the next step, right, is we want to so you might have not noticed that, but Qazi tried to hit the enter key when he typed in the input field, and
hitting enter key, it wasn't working, right?
Yeah. So there's a little trick around that, and a lot of people know it. A lot of people don't. But for those of you who don't know it, what we need to do is we need to wrap the input and the button inside of a form. So we wrap it inside of a form like this. So we just grab this, we cut it, we chuck it here, and then we just there we go. So we've got this, and then all we need to do now is once it's inside of a form, we just give the type, right? The type of the button, we call it something like submit. And submit is basically just going to be that when he's typing in the input field and he hits enter, because it's a form, it now knows that you're talking about clicking this button. So that's what enter is going to represent. So that's how you get that normal behavior that we're used to. And there's one thing that we do need to do at this point though. When we do...
I'm sorry, 1 second, Sonny. I'm going to cut in just for a little bit. This is a great question Abdul Basit just asked. He said, why are we using state instead of a normal variable? That was something always also super confusing to me. The simplest way I can think about it is that state allows you to change stuff without having to hit the refresh button.
Exactly.
That's how I thought of it. So the simplest, I mean, before you get into all the complexity, just think about it like this. Variable, you would have to refresh for it to make a change, but like state changes it on the fly without any refresh. So you want to use state to be able to do things where it's fast without refreshing. Okay, so state means no refresh, fast.
Exactly. Yeah, and in order to do everything the React way, we have to use state. So we just have to follow the rules of React and use state. And also, if you're using a hook, you have to use those set methods that we showed earlier.
Yep.
Nice.
Awesome. Keep going.
So we added the type submit to the button. So in order to get, the one thing we need to remember is as soon as you wrap something inside of a form, naturally a browser tends to refresh. So what happens is now if Qazi was to do the enter.
Yeah, so let me actually try it.
Yeah.
So as soon as I hit enter, right? If I hit enter, you guys see how it refreshes and everything goes away? Because it's a form, and what forms do is they refresh on submit. So now what Sonny has to do is stop it from refreshing. So he wants it so like the refresh cannot take place when I hit enter on here.
Exactly. So the way we do that is, remember I said whenever we have like an on change or an on click, it passes an event. In this case, the event that we need to sort of attack here is do event dot prevent default, and that's the one inside of send message.
And then that's it. That will actually just take care of it.
Yeah.
So as
that's
soon as he hits, just hit save.
Yep. There we go.
And so now if I hit hey enter, you guys see how like it did not refresh anything. It just happened fast. And basically it's this line of code that like actually disables refresh from actually taking place. So
exactly,
prevent default.
Yeah. Also, I see a lot of people are asking if it's going to be recorded. Yes, all of these sessions are going to be recorded, so you can watch back and sort of play and stop it as you need to.
Yeah, this will be recorded later, and you guys will be able to watch it later. This is the question we're getting asked.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I guess the next step would be, it's your call, Qazi. Do you wanna? Should we hook it up to Firebase? What do you wanna do? What should we do next?
I think next let's actually add a front end to it because people like looking at stuff that looks nice.
Okay, dope. So what we're gonna use then is something called Material-UI. So let's head over to their website and let's see what Material-UI is about. So it's super easy to install, and basically Material-UI is what you're pretty much, I guarantee everyone's used Material-UI without realizing. It's all of the Google interfaces. So it's all the flat, clean look that you get when you're using a Google interface.
Yeah.
So to pull it into the project, all you need to do is npm install. So that little command there. You just want to copy that and go to your terminal. Yep, there we go. And do an npm install, and that will pull the project, pull the modules into your project. And what we can do then is I really like, so we can start off by styling the button because the button's naturally an easy thing to change. So once that's done, okay, nice, all done. So now what we need to do is if we go over to our button, we can actually go up to the top. Actually, let's try that little VS Code trick that we always like doing. So if we instead, so the button in Material-UI, the only difference is it has a capital B. So it's like that. And if we then change the closing bracket, so we have the open and closing. And now, do you want to give that trick a little try, Qazi, and see if it works?
Yep. So you go to the button and then hit Control and space. And what that allows you to do, that allows you to actually import it. So let's go to the end of it. Is it allowing us to actually import it? Hold on. Maybe the second one is an import.
Yeah, it's annoying. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it tends to work when we're not doing it a live share, yeah.
So here, I'm just going to copy this import statement and then drop it in right there.
Perfect. Yeah. So there we go. And that should give us the default style. But what happens is with these sort of design libraries, they tend to give you a bunch of attributes that you can use to style, right? So the one that we're going to use is it has variants. So you can see it's already changed the look and feel of the button.
Yeah, with the send message, right? When I go over it, it's like, looks juicy.
Really
look at that.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a really nice variant of this, and it's called outlined. And if you're wondering how I knew that it was variant and how I knew it was outlined, it's because in the Material-UI docs, you have a bunch of sort of documentation that can sort of tell you. So in here, if you go to components and then button, so inputs button, you should be able to see here, they've got all the examples, all the different styles and use cases. So you can see there's contained, there's, so actually that's a good one to use. Maybe we should use that one. So let's say contained, and let's say for the color, let's do a primary button. So you see that little blue color, so let's do that one. So color.
So we're stealing the word primary from here and writing it in there.
Exactly. And that's honestly the easiest way. So you can even see there's disable elevation. There's a bunch of things that you can do there. So we've saved that. Let's give that a look.
Boom, look at that. Looking clean.
And you even get that little ripple effect, which is really cool.
Yeah, so if I click it, look at that. Look at that, how nice. Like, hey. Hey. And now if I just hit enter, it works too, out of the box.
Something I just noticed there, Qazi, is when you actually hit send message, when you had nothing in the input field, it was pushing empty strings inside of your array.
So if I'm hitting enter, you guys see that? When I'm just hitting enter and with empty, it's still pushing it to the array, which is what we don't want.
Yeah, we don't want that kind of behavior. So it's a very easy way to fix that. And all we need to do is on the button, we just say disabled.
Yep.
And we basically say if there is no input.
Yep,
so
right
just
here.
Like that.
And then so basically it'll disable this button when there's no input. So see, exactly. Boom. And now if so now I cannot hit enter. When I try to hit enter, it doesn't work. When I try to click the button, it doesn't work. But if I say yo, what is happening? Now it works, but on empty it doesn't work anymore. So it's just this right there.
Exactly. And that's going to make a big difference to the whole sort of user experience, and it won't look as buggy when you do that. So the next one we're going to do is something called form control. So form control is a really nice little add-on. So it's in Material UI. So if you go over to the Material UI docs, and it's called form control. So you can search for it.
Form control. Oh, maybe here, huh?
And yeah, in that one, yeah. So if you type in form control.
This one?
And that's the one. So I'm just going to copy that import. So I've already added the import, and then you see the example that we have there. So it says form control, input label, input form helper text.
So right here. Yep, this is the example.
Yeah. So you see that example right there? All we're going to do, and this is the simplest way, guys, is just literally bring that into your project. So bring that into your project, and a good place, I guess, to bring it would be maybe on top of the existing input.
Yep.
Yeah, so we could do it maybe there.
So yeah, basically where we're trying to put it is like above this input. So right about there.
Yeah, and the reason why we're doing that is because we basically just want to replace the stuff that we have at the moment with that instead. So to get that going, what we're going to do is we're going to delete the stuff we don't need. So we don't need this HTML4. We don't need this ID at the moment. We don't need this thing. So you can actually simplify a lot of this at the moment. And then even this ID here, you don't actually need that for now. And even the form helper text we don't want. So you see, we've actually simplified it a lot. So what we can do here is we can just say, let's just say enter a message. And this input, notice, is very similar to the button that we had before, right? So it's literally just this.
What happens if I refresh right now? Does this stuff show up right now? No.
So we actually need to import the rest of them. So
okay, so let's go here and go input label.
Yeah, with a capital I. So capital I,
and then we got input. Okay, let's save. Let's hit refresh, and it's showing up right here. Hey.
And you see, you get a really nice sort of cool, and it even has that animation that sort of the text went up with it.
Oh yeah, that's nice. When I click it, it goes up. And what we're trying to do right now is like delete this ugly looking one, and just have this one, right, with the button next to it or something.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So what we're going to do now is all of the attributes that we have inside of the input, we can just pretty much cut them out, and we can put them inside of the new input. Right, so we can do that, and then what we can do is I think it might be better for the button to be inside of this form control.
Yeah.
So we can give that a try and see how that looks. So if we save that.
Ooh, okay, right there. Ooh, it's already working. It seems like yo, Sonny. And then people. Oh, Busisani says, you guys are killing it.
Nice. Glad you're enjoying it, dude.
Yeah, pumped. So let's send it, and like, look right there, shows it. Nice. Okay, beautiful.
Awesome. So now we have a very slick sort of form that that's showed to the user. Yeah. So the next step that we want to do is, I guess, we need to make the messages look a bit nicer, right? Because right now they're a bit ugly.
Yeah, they're really ugly because it's just P tags, right? So this is like wrapped in just a P tag.
Exactly. So what we're going to do here, what we're going to do here is actually we're going to use a very powerful part of React, which is components. And components are basically these reusable things, which we can pretty much rewrite it once. So we're going to write a message component here, and then you can basically pass something called props. So it stands for properties, and basically you can have like a bunch of messages, which is one component reused several times, and we can change the message contents through something called props. So what we're going to do here is, Qazi, I just want to create a new file. That's it. So I'm going to create one new file called, let's call it message.js. And the convention is to keep the capital letters so that it shows that it's a, there we go. And we actually use this really cool extension, guys, called ES7 snippets.
Is or message?
Message, so singular.
Okay.
Yeah. And what we're going to do here is we use a really nice extension called ES7 snippets that you can download from VS Code Marketplace. And all you need to do now is type in RFCE.
So the extension.
If you just type in,
The extension we have, by the way, guys, is this one. It's called ES7, and this allows you to basically write these snippets really easy. So for example, when I now go to the code here and I just type in RFCE, it just shows me a way to basically use components, export my component, because this is something you're constantly having to write. And Sonny, even when I was learning React, I constantly kept having to write this, and I would forget the syntax and all of that. So by doing this, it's just super nice way of doing it.
Exactly. And to be honest, I've been writing React for a long time, and I still use this just because you tend to forget a lot of this stuff and you don't really remember writing some things in the same way. So it's completely the way to go in terms of saving yourself some time.
Tony says, I love the way you're explaining your code in a simple way. I'm getting things I never got at the university for the whole semester. Thank you for that. Really appreciate you actually reaching out and saying that.
That's awesome. Nice.
All right, let's keep it going.
Right. So the next step, I guess, is we go to app.js. And what we want to do now is pretty much go over to so app.js. And if we press Command B to hide the sidebar, what we can do now is we can actually render that message. We can say message like this. And that's how we basically render out the message.
Nice.
But right now, obviously, we don't actually pass through the message that we were
just
showing before.
Just to be clear, it's the component that we're building in message.js that's going to be right over here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So all of the JSX and logic and everything that's inside that component basically just gets pushed here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether you call the file .jsx or JS.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's when you use create React app. Yeah. Then that applies.
Okay.
Yeah. So now if we do, so let's call the prop text, and then what we're going to do is actually no, we'll just call it message. So we'll say inside of message, so the prop. What should we do? Let's call it text. It's a bit simpler.
Yeah.
And then here we can say message. So we're going to pass in the message that we get when we loop through the array from earlier. And we're passing that through as a property called text. So this is really important, guys. So what we're going to do now is, remember, all we're doing right now is actually just rendering a p tag. So we're going to delete the p tag that we had, and we're going to pass through this prop called text. So if we go over to message.
So what we're doing here is we're taking this text and passing it back into this file over here. So we can grab the text and then style it and do whatever the hell we want in the message file separately, because we don't want to go crazy styling everything all in one single file.
Yeah. And what that will allow you to do is actually manage your code a lot easier, especially as your app gets bigger. So now what we want to do is that property that we pass through comes here. So it basically comes through as a parameter. And what we need to do now is, if we want to basically do exactly what we were doing before, then instead of rendering a div here, or we can just put it inside.
Can you just put it like in an H2 so it's obvious that something has changed?
Yeah, let's do that. So we can do an H2. And then what we can say is, remember JSX, so squiggly brackets. Here we say props. And remember, we called it text. So that was the name of the property, yeah? So if we save that now, we're getting an error saying message is not defined. That's because we actually need to import it inside of app.js.
Yep. So let's see if I can do my trick with the control space. Yep, it works.
Oh, there we go.
So now I just clicked it, and at the top it says import message from /message. So it's actually importing that component from this file over here, right there.
Nice. Awesome.
Okay, cool.
So that's a really handy trick. That's actually a really handy trick. Yeah. So we need to save the file. So there we go.
There we go. Oh, nice. So now it's showing up as a H2 tag. So, it's already starting to look nice. What is going on?
Awesome.
And it's looking great. It's actually looking really good.
Nice. Okay. So I guess the next step would be to actually have it. So
now this H2, the styling, we're doing it in this completely separate file. So, okay, sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, so the styling goes into a separate file, which means that it's all separate, and we can actually have its own separate CSS file and a bunch of stuff like that. I guess what we should do now maybe is have a prompt that pops up which says enter your name. So that way we can say Qazi said hello, Sonny said hi, somebody else said what's up.
Yeah, because right now I would have to manually type it in like Qazi and like hey, what is up? and then you would have to write something back. So yeah, you're right. We should make it so it's the other way.
Exactly. Yeah. So it might be a cool thing to do now. So if we go over to app.js, what we want to do. Yep, so app.js. Nice. What we want to do now is, remember guys, in order to store anything, we always kind of think about state, right? So in line 8, what we're going to do is we're going to just drop a line, and we are going to create a new piece of state. And this is just going to be used to remember the user. So in this case, actually, let's call it username. So that's going to be the username that you pretty much enter when you type in. So our goal here is to have a pop-up which pops up saying, please enter your name. We're going to store that value inside of username. So we're just setting up a hook here. So we're using a hook to set up a piece of state. So use state. And initially it's going to be a blank string because we're not going to have any user that starts off when the app's loaded. And then what we're going to do is we can actually get rid of our console logs here to make life a little easier. So I do recommend that if you do console logs, clean up afterwards so that way it doesn't crowd the console. So that way when you do need to use them, it doesn't get too crazy. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use another hook. So just like we use useState, we need a piece of code now. And there's a really handy hook called useEffect. And useEffect allows us to run a piece of code once when the component loads. So in our case, it's the app component. So what we're going to do is we're going to say
one quick question. Ali asks, why didn't you use Ajax?
Okay, so Ajax is pretty much, so JavaScript's a very fast evolving language. So Ajax was first brought into play when they needed to do something called asynchronous JavaScript. That's why it's called Ajax, right? And the reason why we don't use that anymore is because it was a very good way of doing things back before in a traditional approach. And then what happened is there was limitations with Ajax. You couldn't do things as much as you wanted to do it. It was very tricky to write very simple operations. And what they decided to do, or the guys over at Facebook said, was let's make this super easy and let's just build a library that allows you to build apps in a maintainable, scalable way, which is why React came along. And that's why we have state, that's why we have all these sort of things that we're using right now, because this allows you to build scalable apps without dealing with the limitations of Ajax.
So overall, it's just it's much simpler to do it with React than to do it with Ajax. So if you have to choose between the two, just choose React. A second important question I think we have by Alexandros. Thanks for this question. And he says, what is the difference between useEffect and useState?
So that's a really good question, Alexandros. So basically, useState is essentially going to set up a piece of state, right? So it's a piece of memory. And I like to refer to this as like a short-term memory. So every time you refresh the page, the state disappears, right? So it's essentially the way you set up a variable inside of React.
Okay, so this is a simplest way to put it is useState is just setting a variable. So like this is actually key for me too. Like this is awesome to know. So useState is basically a variable in React. That's how you set up variable. Like that makes it so stupid simple.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Okay.
And useEffect is pretty much a case of, so useEffect, this is literally going to be a block of code that gets executed based on a condition. That's it. So it's just a snippet of code that's going to get executed based on a condition. And that condition we can determine in useEffect.
Oh, wow. That's actually another beautiful way to put it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's the two. And honestly, guys, these two things, so these two hooks are going to be so fundamentally powerful. So I really recommend everyone really practices with these and gets used to understanding how you use a useState hook and how you use a useEffect hook.
Yep. So for example, like even when I'm typing in my thing like here, right, I'm saying HEY, and you guys see how in the console it's like writing out HEY, and whatever I'm kind of saying, it's like typing that out. You see it says hey yo. So this variable input is really changing on the fly without even me hitting refresh. As I'm typing it in, it just keeps updating it. So it starts off as blank, but at this point it's turned into hey yo. And it's really the set input that allows you to change it like that on the fly. So again, useState variables in React.
Exactly. And the next one, I guess, might actually be easier shown in practice. So use effect this is the way we write a use effect. So we pretty much do it like this. So you have the first part, which is just an empty function. And the second part, so this is basically the first part, what we said here, run code on a condition. So this is where we run the code. So this is what we run code here. So we run some code here, and it basically needs to fire off on a condition. And the way we specify a condition.
Let me just put that as a comment right there. So this is going to be the condition right there.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. And what we have in here is we call it dependencies. And a simple way of thinking of a dependency is we basically map this to a variable. And the variables we look at are the ones that we talked about earlier, the ones in state, right? So you can do two things with this, which is really cool, right? So if you leave this blank, what this is going to do is going to run the code once. So if it's blank, inside the dependencies,
yep,
then this code runs once when the app component loads.
Got it. Yep.
Right.
Yep. So this, yeah.
So that's the first thing.
So this basically means like there are no conditions, and by default, the only condition it runs on is when the page loads. That's it.
Exactly, and that's going to be really fundamental when we connect React.
That's really
when we connect it to Firebase. So that's really important, that point. And then, but say for example, Qazi was to put input inside of here.
Yep. So now what's going to happen is every single time I literally write something here, you guys remember my input variable starts changing. And every single time my input variable changes, the code inside of here runs literally every single time. So like, because it's watching for this input called input, right? So every time this changes, it will just keep firing again and again and again and again. So for now, what we want to do is like not really have a condition.
Exactly. So right now, what we're trying to aim for is we only want it to run once, because we only want to prompt the user once, right? We only want to prompt that user once.
Yeah.
And something that we can do here is we can say prompt. So prompt, and then what we can say is, please enter your name. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to pop up a prompt on the screen. And traditionally what we do is we say const, and then what we say is we actually store it here. So we say const name, and then when that pop-up comes up and you type in your name, it gets stored into this variable. But in React, what we can do is we actually have the username here, and we have this set username. So rather than wasting a variable here, what we can do is we can actually just do this. We can say
before you change that, can you undo that real quick? Because I want to show them literally how it looks written side by side, because I think that's important, because it's sometimes confusing. So
yeah,
this is how you would deal with a variable in React. Like if you want to change it, you won't actually do name is equal to something. You will do set name is equal to something, or as a function almost. So you're going to do set username. So let's actually make it so it's extremely clear. So username, you're going to do set username, and it's like a function, and you call it. And then this is like whatever the new username is. So you can continue. You can take over from here, Sonny.
That's perfect. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we do. So in this case, this is where we'd put the string for the username, right?
Yeah.
But what we can actually do is we can replace that with a functional piece of code. So we can actually go here and replace that with this piece of code. And what this is going to do is it's going to pop up a prompt on the user screen. So the browser has support for this. So it's going to pop up a prompt, which is going to say, please enter your name. And then it's going to set that inside of the state. So let's then, oops. Yeah, it does that weird thing sometimes. So I think we have to do that manually. And if we say
so
that,
I just import it. So you guys see, so that line of code here, the prompt, it opens this prompt up and it says, please enter your name right over there. Okay. And now once we write the name, what's going to happen is this name, this username that I wrote, is going to be stored in the variable called username. Okay, so if I write Qazi and hit enter, boom, it just got stored.
Exactly. And a really good thing we can do there is to demonstrate that actually worked is if we go over to line 27. And here what we're going to do is we're going to say, hello, clever programmers. And then we're going to have a H2 underneath it, which says welcome. And then it's going to have the name. So it's going to say welcome. And in this case, it'll be username.
Yep.
right?
Okay.
So if we save this and we run this, so you might need to refresh. Yeah, so it's going to need a refresh. There you go.
Let's see. CP programmer.
Yeah.
Welcome, CP.
So you see, welcome. There you go.
Wow.
Nice, right? And we can actually use that now when we. So remember when we sent that message, what we can actually do now is we can. So we can actually pass through. So right now we have a very flat structure. So remember on line 8 we had. Oh, nice. Nathan Sipram said thanks for doing this. Yeah. So on line 8 we had a very flat structure, right? We had just a bunch of strings. So we had hello, hi, what's up.
I'm sorry. One thing I want to say is, like, guys, React is stupidly simple. It's easy to also get confused by it, but if you just understand this use state and use effect, which are the things that killed me forever in it, there's literally nothing more to it. It's so simple. Once you get this, like, you will understand almost 95% of whatever is happening in React.
100%. 100%. Use state and use effect are the fundamentals, and also just practice creating components and then using them in different files.
Yeah,
that's going to really help everyone out. Nice. Okay, so I guess what we want to do then is we want to have it so that it says Qazi said hi, Qazi said what's up, and so forth. So what we can do now is messages. We actually need to change the structure a little bit now. So each of the messages typically just is a piece of text. But we actually want these to be objects instead now, so that way they can have a user and they can also have a piece of text. So let's just change this structure a little bit. So rather than having a flat structure, we're going to have objects, so several objects inside of here. So let's just have 3 objects inside of here. And the first one we're going to say is the key. The keys are going to be like as such. It's going to have username, and this one can be. So let's just have some hard-coded data. So username is going to be Sonny, and the text for this message is going to be, let's just say, hey, what's up? Hey, guys.
Yeah.
And the second one would be username. Username is, let's just say, Qazi. And the message is
getting a little long, so I'm just going to break it up a little bit so it's easier to see what is happening.
What's up? There we go. So that's how we're basically structuring it now. So we're going to have to change our code up a little bit now. And let's just keep it as 2 messages. And so we have this very simple structure now. So now the difference is that we have these objects instead of just flat strings, which means that when we rendered it out on line 42.
You want to answer that real quick?
Yeah. So I know it's not the current job topic, but why do you use Material-UI instead of Bootstrap? So the reason why we use Material-UI is because it's very, very modern. It's very like sort of cut. It's very at the front of what the design libraries are doing at the moment. So previously, everything was very rounded. You had rounded designs, 3D designs, and then everything went to a flat, consistent design.
Yeah.
And Material-UI aced that, and it's a Google library.
Yeah.
So that's why we use it. Yeah. Bootstrap is more for responsive design as well. So there's a difference there.
I personally like Material-UI much more.
Yeah. Mevan says, "Oh, so cute."
Yeah, I know. I saw.
That's my girlfriend. And then we've got. Let's have a look. So we have. What's next? Where were we right now?
We were creating the messages with username and text. So we're hard coding it in right now.
Yeah. So now if we go to line 42.
Line 42.
We can pretty much see. So remember, guys, before message was just a string, but now it's an object. So we need to account for that. And here what we need to say is message.text here. And we're also going to pass in another property now. So it's going to say another prop. So here we're going to say
username.
The username is going to be message.
Nice. So, I see how we're doing. This is awesome.
Yeah. And this will really fit in nicely when we go into the database side of things. So if we save that and then
that's so cool. I can actually shine a spotlight on what you're talking about. That's awesome.
That's nice.
Yeah, Mark, by the way, no, we're not saying we're going to kick you out. What we're saying is, like, you can now kick people out. That's what we said in the YouTube chat. So,
nice.
Yeah, but okay, so this is okay. So this is cool. Now should we go to the messages?
Yep. So
okay.
Yep. So we go over to message.js, and now we're passed over an extra prop, right? So we actually need to use that prop. So in this case, it would be very simple to
props. It would be username, right?
Yeah, props.username. So,
okay, so you want to put it right
about
there.
KSX, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect. And that's as simple as it is, guys, to use it. So in this case, if we save that and we run it, we should.
I wrote Qazi. Hey. Yo.
So I'll show you why that happens. So
didn't I save?
So we've got username. Oh, okay, that's why it's happening. So now,
it's working. It's working. I just didn't save, I think. Oh,
no,
wait.
So we actually forgot to do one more thing. So on line 24 in app.js, remember when we were setting the messages, we were appending a string.
Yep.
Right? So this needs to be updated to have the new structure that we have. So the username would be, in this case, our username. So our username from state.
Yep. And then it should have, so this, I mean, this should be an array, right? Instead of just an object.
Yeah, so it is actually so this
I
array.
see. Got it. Okay, it's just pushing each. Yeah, okay, makes sense. So now our messages, guys, are not just like a flat text. They are objects. And so we're pushing an object now every single time instead of just a string.
Exactly that. Yeah. So we keep all the current messages, and then we're saying also append this object, right? And now what should happen is it should say, when we save this and we run it, now it should be working as it was before.
Okay, so let's try Qazi. Yo, and oh, nice. It's me here.
Nice, right?
Oh, Logan is on. Nice. Okay, awesome. So we got profitable shortcut students coming in too. One of them is Logan. And Mark Johnson just joined Profit with JavaScript yesterday, right? He was on our live stream.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So that's really cool.
What's up, dude? Nice.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested in the course, by the way, in Profit with JavaScript, it's just in the description. So just check it out if you're interested. But let's keep going.
Nice. So now what we're going to do is we have the structure that we needed. We have a prompt that pops up. We can do two things now. We can either hook this up to Firebase or we can style the messages.
Okay, let's style the messages first, I think.
Okay, so what I like to use is, in this case, we can do it two ways. We can either use Material-UI to just give it a card design, or we can actually go ahead and make it look like a bit of a message. So let's have how we do that. So let's use a bunch of things that we have in Material-UI. So here I'm just going to copy a little snippet that we had. So Material-UI has a really handy card element, and it has a bunch of things attached to it. So it has a card, it has a card content, and a bunch of other things. So in this case, I'm just copying a little snippet of code, and we're going to clean this up. So this is one of the demo snippets. So let's just do this, and I'm going to get rid of a bunch of this stuff. So in this case, we can get rid of this. We don't need this. We don't need this. And here, there's a bunch of, like, remember how earlier we had Material-UI gives us a bunch of things. So here's an example. It can be color, height, variant, component, and things like that. And then we have, in this case, it will be props.text would go here, because that's where we want the message to appear. And we can get rid of this. So all we did there is we used a little demo piece of code from Material-UI, and now what we can do is we can actually import that. So just import all of the missing dependencies.
Right there.
And we have everything pretty much that we need, I think. Well, actually, we just need to have it so that it says it as we were currently saying it before. So there we go. We should install Prettier, maybe. Wait, let's see. Card content. Oops. Card content. There we go. And this is complaining because we have a div. So we can actually get rid of the outside div.
We just have one.
Yeah, we have one like that. And if we save message, so I don't think it would have updated, but if we save it now. Nice. You can see it's a bit hard to see it, but there's like these floating cards there. Can you see that?
Here's another good question I think we should answer. Harry Smith says, I don't know if you have already answered this, but why are you using React instead of Angular? Is it more powerful, or you can do something that Angular can't?
So it's a very good question. Angular is something that was built by Google. Google acquired them. See, the main difference here, guys, is two things. So in terms of popularity, React is on fire right now. It's the #1 most growing library that is being used. The demand is so high right now. So it's one massive reason for using React and learning React. Also, it's super, super, super lightweight, guys. Angular is a framework, which means that you need to know a bunch of things in order just to get it started working. But you can see here, in less than half an hour, we had the app running, we had things working, everything was doing it, and you can learn things as you need to, like user state, user effect. Angular is a much more heavy framework, and to be honest, in terms of what you can achieve with both, honestly, you can do everything you can in React. You can do every single thing that you can do in Angular inside of React. And big companies use React, so Instagram, Facebook, Tinder, Uber, they all have React versions of their apps.
So here is the best way to basically visualize what Sonny just said. So if you look over here, we have Angular and React, right? Blue is Angular, gray is React. If you look at the current job market and what's going on, it looks pretty much the same. The demand looks the same right over here in this graph, and this is 2018. Right? The equal amount on LinkedIn, equal amount on Indeed, equal amount on Simply Hired. But here is the really interesting one to look at. So interest over time, and this is in the last 12 months. So the red one is React jobs, and the yellow one is Angular jobs. And if you look over here, you can see that React jobs are just demolishing Angular jobs, and Angular jobs are actually steeply going down on a downwards trend. So if you're learning right now and you want to decide, React is the way to go.
Exactly. That's actually a really good demonstration of that. So you can see, especially this year, guys, there's been a huge separation in terms of React popularity versus Angular popularity. So that's a really, really good diagram to show that. So honestly, if you're on the fence of which one to learn, I definitely choose React. It's also much funner to learn. It's much more lightweight, and you can just learn things as you need to, as opposed to learning so much at once. So let's jump straight back.
I just want to say that this live stream is so freaking awesome. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, all the value and just all the visual aid, and like this is pretty freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, it is crazy. And once we hook it up to Firebase, everyone will really see the power of it and what we can do with it.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we're just going to basically kind of make this look very simple as a message. So let's give this card a class of just, let's just say in this case, message underscore, let's just call it message underscore card. And what we're going to do here is we need to create a message.css file. So in order to style this component, so let's go ahead and create a message.css file.
Okay, so let's go over here. We'll go message. It should be capitalized or just lowercase?
Capitalized, yeah. Anything which is talking about a component, yeah.
Okay.
And then what we do is in message.js, we just need to import it. So we say import message.css. So that's inside of message.js. No, that's inside of message.js, yeah, at the top, yeah. There we go. And that's how we actually bring it in to the inside of the...
Does it autocomplete at all?
I don't know if it does, no. Oh, it should. Sometimes
it's already... How did it come there already? Did you add it in?
Oh, I was typing it in.
I see. Okay, I was like, how did it just show up? Okay, cool.
So we basically add the import statement, and then we go into our message.css. And remember, guys, we gave the message card class here, right? So we just want to give it a very simple UI for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it a simple UI. I'm just going to quickly find some design for this. So we've got
Keep finding the design. I will take this question on because it's an awesome question. So Miguel says, what would be the better database to work with React, a SQL or a non-SQL? And I was actually talking with Sonny about this yesterday. But the great thing about Firebase is actually a hybrid between a SQL and NoSQL. And so it's extremely fast, and that's what we would recommend that you stick to when putting together a database. It's very powerful, extremely simple, and can scale to, you know, however much you want to scale it.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. So if we just save message right now, I've added a little bit of styling to it. And the bits of styling that I added was pretty much a little padding around it. So in message.css, I added some tiny padding, and I added a width, which basically just fits as much as we need to. So you can see now it's only going to use as much width as it needs to, right?
Yeah, I see it right there.
As for the sort of look and feel of it at the moment, we can carry on styling it. So right now they're all touching each other. We don't really want them to be next to each other like that.
Yeah.
So let's give it a little bit of a margin. So if we say a 10 pixel margin inside of here, what we can then do is if we go back and check it.
So go back,
nice.
move around. I just started following you.
Let's have a look. So if I go into message now, awesome. That's really handy actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so what we can do now is if we are let's go back to the code. Back to the demo.
Yep.
And let's see. Yep, there you go. Lovely. So we can see that. And
nice. So now there's this like little margin right here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
What we want to do now is we just need to have one little differentiation, which is in most of these messenger apps. So if we look at the one that we built, so if we look at the ngrok link in the tab, what you'll notice.
What's up?
Oh yeah, I thought it cut out a little bit. Yeah, so if you go to the ngrok link in React,
where is the ngrok link? So this one.
You've got in middle tab. Yeah. So you notice how the left side is all of the users that aren't Qazi, right?
Right.
But whenever Qazi types in, so if you type a message and hit enter now, you can see like it comes up slightly different, right?
Yeah.
It comes up and it looks a little bit different because that message is from you. So what we need to check is we need to say if the username is the username that you've entered, then what we want is we want to style it a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
And the way we do that is if we go over to message.js.
Yep.
And what we can do now is we can simply check. So props.username for the message. Okay, so what I actually do here is if we go to you're following me, right?
Yeah.
I forgot. So what we can do now is instead of passing it in as separate things, right? What I like to do at this point is actually pass the message as an overall object. So we pass the entire message as an object, right?
Yep.
And we simply pass the username not as the message username, but the person who's logged in. Right? So the person who's logged in, and then we have the message, because remember, a message can have a user which isn't the user who's logged in. So it's kind of, you should separate these two things, right?
Yeah.
So now if we go inside of our message component, the structure's slightly changed. So if we can actually do something called ES6 destructuring here, and you can see it's actually broken the app because we've changed the structure of our props.
Yep.
So inside on line 5 now, what we can do is we can destructure our props, and we can say we just now pass in a message and we pass in a username.
Yep.
Right. And at the top we have the message. So previously it was props.username. So now it would be message.username, message.text.
Yep.
But the actual username would be the person who's logged in. So in this case, we can run a small little check which says, is this the user who's logged in? Right?
Yep.
So, and the way we do that is we say, if the username is equivalent, so if it equals the message.username, then this would be true.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, and the reason why we do this now is because we can do a really cool little trick here. And what we can say is we can say all of the styling that we currently see is here inside of this class name message, right?
Yeah.
But what we can do now is we can actually
so for user, we could actually use a different type of styling, right? That's what we're trying to get at.
Exactly.
Got it. So guys, like, you know how on your phone, when you send somebody a message, it might be like green or blue, but then when they send you a message back, it's like gray.
Yeah. Exactly that. So in this case, what we can do is we can have class name, and then we wrap it in JSX.
Yeah.
We give it these curly brackets, these backticks, which are these special backticks. We want every card to have the original styling that we gave it. But if it's a user, then what we do is we put this special syntax here, which allows us to have JavaScript inside of our little backticks.
Yeah.
And we say if it's a user, then what we want to do is basically add this class in. So what we're going to do is we're going to say message __ user. So only the person who is logged in is going to get this class. Right? If it's their message, only then do they get this class of styling. Right? So now if we go to message.css, and hopefully we get this right in the first try, what we can do is we can add a bit of styling here, which says message user. And we've got margin left, which is basically going to push. So margin left is going to basically, notice how in the React app that we built, all of the user's information is always on the right side. So if you're logged in and you send a message, it's on the right side and it's going to be blue, right? So what we can do now is text align should be left. Oops, that's silly. So if we save that, so now Qazi, if you want to just refresh the app, and type in Qazi. And if you type in a message saying hello, and go down. Okay, so right now it's not actually coming through, so we need to go to our message and see what's going on. So message gets passed here as message, username gets passed as username.
I think it wasn't saved, so I just saved it.
Yeah, nice.
Now it's working.
Awesome. Right, so what I would do here is you put in Qazi, was it with a capital K that you put in? Okay, no. So what I would do here to check that it works, so now if you type in like hey, right, so we can see that the styling is not actually getting applied. So at this point, what I would do is I'll debug it. So I'd right click it.
Where are you?
Click inspect. No, I'm on the just talking about the
I see. Okay, yeah, inspect.
Yep, inspect that. If we just make this a little bit bigger so we can see, so right now it's really small because of the so you want to click on elements.
Yep.
And you should be able to see, so right now it's a bit hard to see because we're zoomed in, but what we can actually do instead maybe is do it as let's say user card. Right, so I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's slightly change it up. So let's go back to the code because it's going to be hard to show through that way. So what we'll do is we're going to add a div instead, which is going to surround. So a div is just a container, guys, right? We're going to chuck all of this stuff inside of that. So remember, everything we saw previously is now the only difference is it's going to be inside of a container. We're going to apply those same rules that we just spoke about to that container. So we're going to have those same rules that we spoke about to the container. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a similar thing, but we're going to add some classes here. So we're going to say if it's a user, right, then we're going to give it this.
Nice. Okay, I see.
Right?
Yeah.
And what we're going to do now is we're going to say if it's a user, they get the user card styling. Otherwise, they get the guest card styling.
Okay.
Right. And what we have here is, let's have a look. If I go to message.css and we do this and I add it, so I add in some styling there.
Now user card. Okay, so now user card is blue and guest card is gray.
Yeah. So that should be working now. So if we refresh that and say Qazi.
Oh,
hey, look
nice.
at that. Nice.
That is clean. Hey,
right?
What is going on? Okay, nice. So now all my messages are blue. Okay, and if I have your message that's not mine, then it's gonna be that. Okay, nice.
Yeah, awesome. So we've actually set up the fundamentals here for the beginning of the app, right?
Yeah.
And what we could then do is I think let's hook up Firebase at this point, right?
Yeah. So hold on, let me just visually show. So here's so user card is the blue one, right? That's right there.
Yeah.
And then this is the guest card, and that's right here. Okay,
yep.
And this styling is happening on that if-then statement. So just go back to your if-then statement.
Yep. So
or actually, I would have to do it on this computer. So message.js. So this is where we're deciding if the user is logged in. If they're user, then show the user card. Otherwise, show this styling.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's actually
really
a
cool.
really powerful thing what we have here, that little if condition.
Like a little ternary, yeah.
Yeah, so ternaries are extremely powerful in React, and you use them all over the place. So this is a case of where you have an if else.
Yeah.
And the one above it is a case of if you just want to have if this is true, then show it.
All right, so now we're about to do some Firebase stuff.
Yep. So
Let's do
Firebase
it.
stuff. First step we're going to do is if you want to click on the little burger icon menu on the top left.
Alexander asks, is message _ user using BEM?
Yes, I'm so happy he said that. Nobody knows what BEM is. That's amazing. Yeah, so that's a really good point because I actually completely forgot. So if you notice, the way I was styling was using a convention known as BEM. So it's BEM. And I really recommend everyone goes and learns that. And the way we use BEM is we say, so for example here, the first part of the class name is the component. And the second part is the sort of the element that we're talking about. And the reason why this is really good is because when your app grows and it gets bigger, it's a really standardized approach to always knowing where everything is and always knowing that everything is consistent within your app. So it's something that I would really recommend that everyone learns when they're using React, because it will save you a bunch. When somebody introduced BEM to me the first time, I actually didn't like it. I thought, why am I learning this? Honestly, guys, it saved me so much headache, and I've done so many professional jobs with that, and it saved me a bunch of headache. Yeah, so I'd recommend definitely learning and investing some time in BEM.
Dope. Okay, awesome.
Nice. That's such a cool question.
Yeah, I know you were gonna be pumped when. That's why I dropped it on the screen.
Yeah, awesome. Nice. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is hit the burger icon on the top left, so those 3 lines. And we're gonna click on database.
Got it.
Yep. And we need to set up the Firestore database. So here you want to click create database. And click in start in test mode.
Yep.
And then you want to just set that up. So we don't need to know that bit for now. So we just click next.
Okay.
And then you can just click any Cloud Firestore location and it should be fine. And what this is going to do, guys, is there's no setup that you would be traditionally used to, right? This is doing everything right now. It's setting up a Firestore database. It's handling where all the servers are being deployed. You don't have to manage any of that.
No.
All we need to do now is go into our React project, so inside of our terminal.
So what we're trying to do right now is host our website, so somebody can go to blah blah blah.com and use it. So your Facebook Messenger clone.com. So that's one important thing we're trying to do right now. The second important thing that we're trying to do here is now we want to give it a database, because up until now, when I hit refresh, if I type in something and I hit refresh, it's gone, right? And then it has to start all over again. I mean, that's fun for now, but like it's not going to be a fun app for anybody to use because all the memory is going to be deleted. So those are the 2 things we're about to do: hosting online and getting a database.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now what we want to do is we just created a Firestore database. So this is a real-time database, and it has this sort of collection document structure. We won't go into that too much, but the point is the collection in our case is going to be messages. So let's go ahead and create a collection.
Create a collection.
Yep, so this is going to be messages. And imagine a collection is basically like an array. It's just a list of documents. So the first document, the message is going to be, for example, let's just say like, hey, what's up? There we go. And the next one is, hey, what's up? Nice. And the next one is going to be username Qazi. Perfect.
It has to be proper, you know.
And then there we go. And let's add one more so that we can just proof it. So we're going to add another document and the message. So remember, the keys are quite important. So you need to make sure the message is correct. Yo, what's going on? And the next one is going to be username. And that could be, for example,
actually, let's make it somebody from the live stream. So Yamna.
Yeah, nice. Perfect. So there we go. So now we have 2 records. So we have 2 documents inside of this collection. So you would think at this point, oh, I need to make a backend sort of and have some API and everything like that. You don't need any of that. All you need to do now is head over to the terminal.
Yep.
And let's do npm install Firebase. And what this is doing is going to pull in all of the Firebase modules into our project, and that's pretty much all we need. So I have a very handy snippet of code that I use. and I'm going to send it to you right now. I'm going to add it actually. So what I want you to do is just create a firebase.js file.
So I'll create it right over here. It's going to be called firebase.js.
Yeah, and we're going to consider this to be like our config file, right? And here, what we're going to do is we are going to basically, let's go over to, where is it? Let's see if I can see it. Yeah, firebase.js and
project settings, right?
Yeah.
Project settings, and then.
Oh yeah, so to actually get our config, so guys, we need to get like some configuration stuff set up. So now the way we do that is we go over to that cog that Qazi went to, and then we go to the config toggle, and you see this little object right now. We just need the inner contents of that, right? So everything inside of the object we need. So you can see, yeah, so we can get rid of the top and the bottom.
So nice. So I just took all the content from there and popped it in here. So just to be clear, the part that we added in is actually, you don't need the first line. You can just grab everything from the inner of it and then like pop it in right there. That's what we've done.
And a brief explanation of what this code is doing. So at the top, we're just importing the Firebase module from the one that we installed. So we basically pulled in all the code. We said import it so that we can use it. And then they give us this very handy function called initialize app. And all we need to do is pass this object, which is the config that Qazi just grabbed. And that's going to then tell, it does all of the work behind the scenes then. So it basically at that point goes and connects to Firebase and pushes everything into this one Firebase app. So this is like our magic little variable right now. And then what we do is we initialize it by saying .firestore, which is the database that we just created, and we assign it to this little DB variable, and then we just simply export it. So instead of doing this, actually, I'm going to say export default DB, which is a bit easier. And then now we can use this database variable
in any of our files, in our app.js or in our message.js, anywhere else, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's like super, super simple. There's no API request that we need to do or anything like that. So now what we want to do is we'll save this file and let's just go over to our app right now. Yeah. Let's go over to our app.js file.
Oh, that's what you meant.
So it's just app.js. And then what we need to do now is we need to create a use effect. And the reason why we're going to create another use effect. So this is a cool fun fact. I didn't actually know you could have several use effects. So you can have as many use effects as you want. It took me quite a while to figure that one out, but you can have as many as you want for different purposes.
But with this definition, honestly, like the way you explained it, it makes it easy for me to be able to understand that right away. That like, okay, if it's just tied to a condition, then you can have as many use effects that they just run on those given conditions.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, if you remember it that way, it would always be simple. And that's why even if you have like 5 of them, you just look for the condition that each one runs on and it answers a question. So in this case, what we want to do now is, you can see on line 9 and 10, we just hard code the values currently, right? But we want to pull those values from the database. So we want some kind of code that's going to run once when the app loads and it doesn't run after that. And basically what we're going to do here is, let's just write the template. So here, in order to do that, we add these square brackets and we have no dependencies, and that is pretty much going to run when, so this will run once when the app component loads.
I don't even know if this is helpful or not, but
it's really cool. And what we want to do now is pretty much have it so that when the app component loads, we're going to do something really, really cool right now. We're basically going to say db.collection. Oh, oops. Well, I don't know why that happened. db.collection. And Qazi called the collection messages earlier. That was inside of Firestore. And then what we want to do is we have this amazing function called onSnapshot.
Nice.
And what this is going to do is every single time the database changes, imagine like a camera takes a picture of the database, right? And that gets stored into something called a snapshot.
So for example, like if I go to the Firebase, right, and I'm over here, so every single time I add in any new record, this will detect it and run. So onSnapshot just says, hey, any changes I see here, I'm running this piece of code.
Exactly. Yeah. exactly that. And all the information from that snapshot gets put into that one variable snapshot. So from that now.
Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so you're telling me, oh, dude, that's actually huge. I think even that's clear something up for me. So all of these documents are in the snapshot right there?
Exactly.
Whoa, that is mind-blowing. Okay, so awesome. That makes everything really simple, because then if that's true, then I just know this is an array of objects, right? It's kind of like a JSON structure.
Yeah, so the way we get to it is we say snapshot.docs, and that will give you all of the stuff.
Got it. Snapshot.docs. Okay, because we don't want to do snapshot.collection, right? We want to do snapshot.docs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they give you a bunch of other metadata with it, but the one that we're interested in is the docs.
We're just interested in this right here. Got it.
Yeah. So now what we need to do is basically we're going to say set messages, because we want to set our messages, right? And this is the part which gets a little intricate. So let's do a full screen on this, because it might be a little bit of a long line of code. So now what we're going to do is...
Not only are we going to do full screen, we're going to even do this. No, I'm kidding. Go for it.
Nice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say snapshot. And what we're saying is .doc, so that list that Qazi showed earlier. So snapshot.docs. And then we're going to say map. So docs. Oops, my VS Code's being weird. So we're going to say map through every single doc. And we're going to say for every doc, right, what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and grab the doc.data, right?
Got it.
And what the doc.data is going to do, oops, it shouldn't be that, doc.data is going to do is, remember when you added stuff to the database?
Hold on. Before you go, because we're gonna start losing people right at this second. So let's just break this down. So first, this docs right here is this entire thing, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, then when I'm looping through, this doc here is each specific doc right there, every single time I loop through. So the first loop iteration is going to be that, and the second loop, it's going to be this, yeah?
Exactly.
Got it, okay. And when I say doc.data, what it's really doing is it's taking this specific doc and then giving me this data right here, which is the message and the username.
Yeah, and it returns that as an object. Right.
And and I get it back as an object. So this will just be like one singular, like squiggly bracket object.
Exactly.
Got it.
Remember, like, because it's mapping through it, you're basically getting this structure. So if you go to line 9 and 10, we're basically getting this exact structure that we had earlier. So remember, like, it's like an array of objects.
Yep, it's this exact thing. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. So that's exactly what's happening with this line of code, right?
Yep.
And what we're doing is we're just setting that to the messages.
So just to be brutally clear, because this is where oftentimes for me things stop making sense, because if I ever get like a little lost. So this is going to evaluate to literally something like this, an object.
Yep. And exactly that.
Each time. Yep. Okay.
I just noticed as well, our key that we used over there is text, and in the database we used message. So let's go ahead and quickly change that in so we can change that to message, and then in our code we go ahead into message.js, and we can change line 17 to be message.message. There we go.
Nice.
So in app.js now, what we can do is, so this is honestly one of the most powerful lines of code I've ever come across in my life when it comes to like coding and anything like that. Guys, this literally is we call it a listener. And the reason why it's a listener is because all it's doing is listening for any changes, at which point it shoots off a snapshot, which is like a real-time capture of the database, and then it basically goes through each one, so it iterates through every single one, creates this structure that we spoke about earlier.
Yep.
So at the top.
So it runs. So once again, it runs every time. So if I hit add new document, and there's a new document that gets added here, right? New. As soon as I do that, this piece of code is going to run.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly that. Yeah. So this literally will always be listening for new input and things like that.
So the only thing I think that sometimes can slightly make it confusing is that use effect is a listener, and then this snapshot thing is a listener within it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a really good point, because that's usually where I do notice people get caught up on this.
Yep.
So honestly, the one thing I would just say is just practice this line that we had here. Is remember that a use effect just runs code on a condition.
Yep. In this case, this use effect is only running when the page loads.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Exactly. So now what we're going to do is, to make sure that it doesn't get interfered with our hard-coded stuff, we're going to get rid of the hard-coded stuff, because now we want all of our information.
We want to pull the information from this database and actually like put it in the app, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got it.
So now we're going to save at this point. So we're just going to save it, and then we're going to go and check. And now we should see the data that you entered.
DB is not defined, so we just have to make sure that we we import it. So we just import it right here. Nice. Control space was the shortcut.
Yep. And hopefully, if everything's gone well, we should see what.
Or it's all gonna break.
So we type in. Let's go. Qazi. Nice. There we go.
So now, just to show side by side. So here is the database, and in the database we have what is going on Yomna, and then you can see it's actually right here, right? And then where it says Qazi, what is up, you can see it's in my Firebase database right here, and that's showing up right there. So now we're pulling straight from the database. This is not hard-coded anywhere.
Exactly. So you've got a real sync to the database right now.
Yep.
The next step, I guess, is that when we actually send a message, so this bit will blow your mind as well, because this bit is actually even simpler.
So this is the line of this over here. This line of code is what's reading and outputting all of this.
Yeah.
Cool.
And remember, guys, that's a real-time listener right now. So actually, you know what would be cool, Qazi? If you put the app on the left, and you put Firebase on the right,
and add a new document.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you scroll down, so we can see it as it drops in.
Okay, so I'll scroll down right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say message is what is up, fire, and then for username I'll put in Noemi Ruth. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, and we'll do that, and let's hit save. Boom, right there. That was real time. Look at that.
Awesome. Real time, and all it took was that one amazingly powerful line.
We didn't even hit refresh.
Yeah, that's it. It's just real time sync.
Damn, that's
nice.
sick. Okay, beautiful.
So Naomi Ruth actually asked a good question. She said, "Can you please tell me about web development course? Please, where can I start?"
Yep. So web development course, the best one on the planet, is called Profit with JavaScript. If you guys are interested, you want to not only learn what we're building here, but go deep and actually learn how to make an income, then you would be very silly to actually not join it, because it's the best course on the planet. So definitely, at the very least, just right now, like if you are here right now, you got value, wait till what you see in this course. In the description below, go and click the link below. It's going to say Profit with JavaScript. And it's going to take you to the page, and that page is going to have all the information and what you're going to learn. So you have nothing to lose right now. Definitely just go and check it out, and then you can come back here. We'll still be live streaming, and remember, this is going to be recorded, but let's get back.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah, so what we're doing now is we're actually having it so that when we send a message, it's actually going to push. So rather than Qazi having to go in and manually add it, because that wouldn't be ideal for the user, what we're going to do now is we're going to have it. So let's go over to line 27 in our code.
What are we doing right now?
We're going to update our send message so that now it actually pushes into the database. So
cool.
Right now we have this, which used to push locally.
And also what we're going to do is Sam says, guys, you should use the order by timestamp and indeed create a timestamp in the database, because you guys saw what happened when we added Naomi's message, right? It got added somewhere in the middle when it really should have been added either to the top or all the way to the bottom. So we're going to actually make it so all the most recent messages show up all the way to the top.
Exactly. So yeah, so the way we do that would be, it's actually simpler when we push the message in, because we can actually make it use the correct timestamp. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do something here. We're going to say db.collection.
Yep. So what he's talking about is when I hit send message, up until now, it wasn't sending it to the database. So now we're going to actually send it to our Firebase database.
Exactly. Yeah. So the collection that we want to push it into was the one called messages, and that's the one that Qazi was showing earlier. And what we need to do now is all we need to actually add is we just need to say literally add. And all we do is we push in an object. So this object is going to have the shape that we was adding previously, but it's a very good point that was said earlier. So we are going to add a timestamp in addition to that. So here we'll say message. And our message would be whatever was inside of the input, because that's whatever the users typed in.
Yep.
The username is going to be what was inside of the username state, which is what they entered when the prompt popped up. And one final one to basically, because it's a very good point, because we do need to keep track of what messages are coming in what order. Yeah,
we want to add like a timestamp here at some point. And so for this, we will be choosing timestamp and then adding in a time when the message came in. So that's the third field we're going to be adding that we currently don't have yet.
Exactly. And the way we do that is we actually need to import Firebase at the top. So for the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the top of the file and we're going to say import Firebase from Firebase. And notice how that this one is pulling it from, this one right here is pulling it from the actual Firebase module, and this one is pulling it in from our config file that we set up earlier.
Yeah.
So the reason why we need the actual Firebase module here is because if we go back to line 34, what we're doing here is we're saying Firebase.Firestore, which is the database.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do here is we access something called field value, and then we say server timestamp. And now I'll explain what this means. So imagine, so right now I'm sitting in London, Qazi's sitting in LA. We both have different time zones, right?
Yep.
So if he uses his time zone, it's going to be different to my time zone.
Yep.
So the one that we want to use is the one that's sitting on the server.
Like literally where this database is. So like wherever Firebase is hosting your database, you want to use their local time zone.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. And now what this would mean is it should at this point be, so when we start pushing messages, and we can actually get rid of this code here because we're no longer going to be setting our state. We still want to clear the input because it's a nice user experience. But now if we save this file, we should actually see that everything should be working as we expect it to be. But I don't think it will be sorting yet, but it should be pushing it into the database. So now if we say, hey, so you see right now, it pushed that message into the database, right? But it's not in the right order, which is confusing.
So now let's go here, and like the good thing that's happening is that now we're getting this timestamp field.
Yeah.
So now if I go to the new messages that I added, here's another one with a timestamp field, but it's still not ordering it by it.
Yeah. So the problem here is that we had some records that were added before. So what we're going to do just to keep a clean slate is let's go ahead and clear those old records, Qazi. So if we go to the collection, and we can actually just delete
and just for like nerdy satisfaction, it by default it actually sorts it by like the alphabetical unique ID, right?
Yeah, that's exactly why it pops up.
It's sorting it actually like this. It's like creating a random ID for that message, and then it sorts it alphabetically based on that.
Yeah, so that's like a lot of people don't actually realize. Even I didn't know that for a very long time, and then I was like, oh, hang on, it's using the ID.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we want to do now is let's go ahead and click those three dots.
All right, I will.
Click those three dots, and let's click delete collection.
Right here, delete the entire collection.
Yeah, so let's just delete the collection so we have a fresh DB. So now this will clear all the messages in the app.
Ooh.
And every new message now that comes through will have a timestamp. But now we also need to do something which actually orders things based on the data inside the database.
Ooh, I just added. Is it gonna show up or what? I just added a new message. Nice.
Yep, that's it. So we just need to add one more thing to get this whole thing working now.
Yeah.
So inside of the use effect where we mapped the database to the state, So inside of the user effects, so if we go over to app.js, yep, and let's go to line 18.
Cool.
What we're going to do now is we're going to have a order by. So here we're going to say instead, so just before we do on snapshot, we're going to have order by, and the record, the field that we're ordering by is timestamp. Yep. And we're simply going to add a second argument, which is going to say if it's descending or ascending. But we want the most recent thing to come at the top, so we're going to say descending.
Nice. Okay, that's simple enough. So now I'm just going to say I'm Sonny. Oh, and so now these messages are gray to me because that's not me anymore.
Yep.
Ooh,
nice.
Clean.
And you see now it's working like an actual chat because it's just doing it.
Look at that. So nice. And it's all showing up at the top. Hey.
Exactly. Awesome.
I'm just having fun, dude. This is sick. This is so clean.
And no matter what, imagine once we deploy this, if you're not signed in or whoever's sort of signed in, you're going to see your blue messages will only be shown to you, and everyone else's messages will be shown with the corresponding gray color. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, so what we're going to do now.
Also, I think maybe we can demonstrate it this side by side. So like when I type it in, guys, notice how in real time it's going to add it to this database. That's why this Firebase is called what we're doing here is a real-time database. So
exactly.
Test right there, right? You guys saw that? It popped in. Hey, what is happening? Hello, why, coffee, database, real-time. Holy crap. It's fast. There we go.
Nice.
All right.
I love seeing that. It's always
so satisfying.
Yeah. It should be one of those satisfying videos that goes viral, you know?
Yeah. We just break a snippet out of it and like run it as an ad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So now what we're going to do is we have everything set up for this. I guess the next step would be...
This is a great point that Logan made. This is the main point we emphasize about Firebase as well. Traditionally, you have set up database on CLI. Firebase looks unnaturally easy. That's the most powerful thing about Firebase. And like War P9, which is Leif, and he says that there are many similar services on Amazon, like Amazon AWS or Microsoft Azure or whatnot. But Firebase has a lot of powerful features all in one place. And the simplicity and all of the things in one place, that's what makes it take the cake.
Exactly. And you know what? That's a good point, Qazi, because you've actually had first experience at using AWS.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Like I'm using AWS for a bunch of things, like the Lambda functions, the AWS database, and it's so complicated. Like I literally had to learn so much about DevOps just to get basic things up and running, like creating security groups, where my database is hosted, like how to actually manage my cluster. It's so much garbage that, and even right now, I can't do a two-way database sync. Like I'm having, it's a nightmare. And here you have like the simplest two-way database sync that I've ever seen. Like, and it's working and it's real time and it's fast. So
exactly. Yeah. Awesome. So now I guess what we're going to do is, a really cool thing that we can actually mess around with now is so right now, you notice it just snaps in, right?
Yep.
So every time you push a message in, it's just snapping in, which is like, it's nice, but it would be cool if there was like some kind of animation here, right?
Yep. That would be sick.
So yeah, so I think what we can do now is we can actually mess around with something called, let me find out what it's called. Spin this. It is... So it's called, there's a library called React Flip Move, and what we're going to do is we're going to implement that together. So if you just go over to Google and type in React Flip Move.
Yep, we'll do. React what?
Flip Move.
Flip Move. Okay, got it.
Yep, Flip Move. And what we're going to do now is
first one,
we are going to
second one, npm.js.
First one. Yeah, you can use either one. So the first one's good. And this is the GitHub page for that. And you can see in the little GIF that's the kind of smooth, slick behavior we want to get, right?
Nice.
Now, there's a few things to get this working, and this is going to be this is actually a really good demonstration for those of you who want to know how to look at the documentation for someone else's code and then get it inside of your project.
Yep.
So what we need to look at is just scrolling down. You can see there is a section which says usage with functional components. So if you so firstly, let's do that. Yeah. Firstly, let's install this into our app. Okay. So let's run the npm I. Yep. There we go. And then we can see there's a section which is usage with functional components. Now,
because we don't want this one here. We want this one right here.
Exactly, yeah. Because what we're doing is, guys, we're using something called functional components when we're coding in React. Now, many of you won't actually know what those are. And there's two things that you should know at this point, that you have two kinds of ways of writing a component in React. You have class-based components and you have functional-based components. Functional-based components are the new, shiny, lovely components that we all strive to write. But the reality is class-based components have been around for longer. And they've been around for longer because they were built first. And then they realized there was a lot of pitfalls, so they ended up building functional components inside of React. So whenever you come into these sort of documents, I would recommend you'd actually always double check to see how you use their stuff inside of a functional component. So in this case, they've got a really nice section for this. And what we need to do here is we first need to see, so you see at the bottom, the bottom half of the demo is actually what we want to pay attention to first. Actually, no, it's the top part, sorry, the const functional article. So all we need to do now is go over to our message.js. And here, what we need to do is we need to use something called a forward ref in React. Now, I don't think you've used this either, Qazi, so this might be quite cool for you.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah, so what we need to do here is the way it's going to track what's going on and what's changing and what's moving. It needs to have some kind of reference to the object that's flipping around and spinning around, right?
Yeah.
Now, we use something called a forward ref to keep track of that.
Yeah.
So the way we do that is it's very simple. We don't actually even need to know too much about what's happening. So let's just change this to an ES6 function. So let's do const map. So it looks very similar to what they've done. So, and now all you need to do in order to get this working is have a, that's strange, 1 second. Yeah, there we go. All we need to do now is actually do this. We say forward ref, so forward ref, and we basically put a bracket around this, and then we go to the bottom of the file on 924 and put a closing bracket, because the entire thing is wrapped in a bracket.
Yep.
And then what we do is we go back up to the top,
so
and we simply...
Oh, you put the whole... Oh, okay, so whenever literally message is changing, we're tracking it.
Yeah, so now what we do is we basically get access to this ref, right? Now, what is this? This is something called a higher order function.
Message is a function, right?
Yeah, so message is a function.
I see.
And then you have something which is essentially wrapping everything called a forward ref, right?
I see, yeah.
Forward ref is an example of something called a higher order function. And basically all it's doing is it's basically just like wrapping what we already had, which we saw on the screen to be a message. It's wrapping it with some additional functionality. So in this case, it's giving us the reference to to an object, right?
Yeah.
So here we get this ref. So if we look on line 5, we get this ref, right?
Yep.
And all we need to do now is attach that ref. So here we say for the div that we want to sort of keep track of, we just attach the ref. And all this is going to do, we don't need to know too much about what's happening here, but all we need to know is that this is basically tightening all of the sort of links so that it knows exactly what element is what and what is moving. So that way it can do this clever animation stuff that they've set out to do. So that's why they've given us this. It's something that everyone can look into, but this is an example of a higher order component. And in things like Stripe, in things like PayPal, all of the APIs give you things like this to actually use. So higher order components. Nice. An example would be if this was a Stripe one, it would give you a Stripe object here. So it's a very cool sort of use case in React, and it's like it supercharges your component essentially.
Yeah.
So that's part 1. Now part 2 is we go back to app.js. And we just need to import the thing that we actually installed. So at the top, I'm just going to do import flipmove from React flipmove.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go back down to where we map out the messages. So let's go to line 55.
Got it.
And all I need to do is basically wrap all of the messages that are being mapped out inside of React Flip Move. Right? Now we're almost done. We're almost done, but there's one key component. So React is very clever in how it re-renders a list. And right now, it doesn't actually know what one element is to another one unless we give it something called a key. And that key is going to be crucial in
oh, so I see what you're saying. So basically this element and this element right here have no relationship right now.
Yeah, so right now React has no idea if when you actually submit a message, it's going to re-render the entire list.
Right. So, oh, I see what you're saying. So if I refresh this or something, it's going to refresh the entire list.
Yeah, it's going to refresh the entire list, and that's not efficient when the list gets really big, because imagine you have 1,000 messages. You only want to really re-render the last one that was added.
Oh, I see. So only refresh the message, like the new message basically that I'm adding, but keep everything the same. Don't refresh it.
Yeah, keep everything the same. It would literally just cleverly push it down.
Ah, okay. Right? That's awesome. This is how Instagram works, right? When you comment on somebody's post.
Exactly. Yeah. So they use this, and it's everyone that uses React should always use keys, right? Now, a key needs to be a unique identifier. So in our case, in the database, we actually have a unique identifier being pulled, but we actually need to do something here which makes this a bit more accessible. So what we need to do now is if we go to line 23, right now we're mapping. Remember here, we basically just map all of the data in that flat structure, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do here is instead of mapping it to the flat structure, I'm just going to enhance it a little bit. So I'm going to say return an object, right? So return an object, and basically whatever we were previously doing, that's just going to go inside of something called data.
I see.
Right? But I'm also going to get the ID. So remember that squiggly ID that you saw earlier in the database?
Yep.
I'm going to store that ID inside of a key called ID.
So just one second, just to be clear, you're saying that this ID right over here that I have is actually being stored right there, right? Doc.id. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's exactly what it says. So that way we've got like a unique identifier. So now what we need to do is we need to remember. So let's go down to line 58, and we need to remember that over here now, it's not the same structure that we had before. So what I can do here is I can destructure to make things a bit easier. I can destructure, and I can say message is no longer just this message that we thought of earlier. It's actually now data, right?
Yeah.
And this would be data.message, I guess.
Data.message, right?
Yeah. Actually, no, it wouldn't be. It would just be, it would be data, right? Yeah, data.message, I think.
Yeah.
Well, no, in this case, it would just be data, sorry. Yeah. It would just be data, and we could have called it at the top message. So let's go back up to the top. So 23, we can rename that to be message.
Oh man.
On line 23. Yeah, so let's rename that to be message.
Oh yeah, just calling it. Okay, but hold on 1 second. When you pull, I mean, isn't that doc.data? So isn't that like all three of these things?
Yeah, but remember we actually implemented and in message.js we had message.message, message.username. So what we want to do is we kind of want to keep
I see. Got it. I understand.
Yeah. So now if we go back to line 58, we're going to destructure here. So we just pass in message. So it's still the same as we done.
Yeah.
But we also now get the ID.
Nice. Okay. Yep.
So we get the ID. And what we need to do here is we basically just say the key is going to be the ID now.
So this ID exactly right here is going to be the key of that.
Yeah. So now it knows that React element, which is rendered on the screen, has the unique key of what it is in the database. So if somebody ever pushes a new message in now, it knows that, hang on, that one didn't change. Nothing changed with that. So I don't need to re-render that. I just need to worry about the ones that were added, the unique keys that were added in.
Yeah.
Right. So if we save this now, everything, if it's all gone well, this would actually work really well. And I can actually show you a demo of how it would work without the keys as well. You'll see. So say Qazi. And now
whoa, it looked clean how it came up.
Yeah. So now if we do
whoa,
look at that, right?
Nice. So now if I refresh and I go Sonny, all that information is still going to be there. Oh, that is looking clean.
It's really nice, right? Look at that. And you get this really slick sort of key. And this is a really nice way of showing what happens when you don't have keys. So you see now it's only re-rendering the top one and it's pushing the list down.
Yeah, I can actually visually just see that. Yeah, it's like not affecting any of the bottom ones. It's just only the new one is the one that like has that bubble effect.
Exactly.
And pushes everything down.
Yeah, exactly that. So now if we go back and we actually get rid of in line 59, let's get rid of the key and you'll see a really slick visualization for this. So if we go here to and get rid of the key, so now look how strange it's going to look. So when you actually give this a go, so you say like Qazi and then you type something in, or Bob, yep. So now when you do this, you see how it glitches out of it?
Yeah. Whoa, what is happening? Let me zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, so now if you type in, because what's actually happening now is it's freaking out and it thinks it needs to re-render the entire list. So it doesn't actually do it in a clean way that we kind of expect it to.
Yeah.
You see, it kind of like does this weird sort of like,
and like look, it's even like
messing up your ordering, and it's changing things where they shouldn't be changing.
Right.
Yeah, so it completely breaks your entire app. So like you need to have keys, and I think that's actually the easiest way I've been able to show how a key visually has an effect. So
yeah, I always wanted to see, like, because I always see them having keys everywhere, and I'm like, it still works. So I'm like, maybe I don't need keys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so now you can see, like, with that key in place, React knows that, all right, as soon as you type in a message and you enter it, it's only that one that's going to actually be pushed in, so we don't need to re-render the entire list.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
That is sick. Okay, awesome. So what are we up to next on this?
Right, so we've actually got the app running pretty nicely now. So I guess the only thing, so there's a question of how to deploy. There's a question of more styling. So it's your call where we go.
I think let's show them how we got the app that we had in the start, which has the, this message thing at the bottom. So I think at this point, if we can probably just move the message thing at the bottom and add like a little arrow, kind of like how Facebook Messenger has it. I think then that should be it, and we can just call it, be done with it, and add like a Messenger logo at the top.
Yeah, awesome. Let's actually add the Messenger logo right now. So I've got the snippet over here.
Okay.
So that's where are we rendering it? Here. So on line 45, I'm just going to drop the image tag there. So this is actually a really cool thing, and this is something I want to show to a few people. So in some links, right, you'll notice that they have at the end of the URL, they have like a few sort of parameters. You see that it's got width and height.
Hold on. Where? Right there.
You see at the end it's width and height. So that's called a dynamic sort of image that you can. It's pulling it from Facebook, and we're actually changing the width and height at the end of the URL. Which is clean, right?
That's clean. I love it.
And there you go. So we've got a nice looking like sort of app already. Looks pretty fresh. Looks pretty clean. But what we want to do now is actually have it so that enter a message drops to the bottom, right? So that way it's clean. It's sort of out the way. And what we're going to do is, let's have a look at how we've done that before. So what we're going to do is we need to go to our form control. So on line 57.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we are going to have, I'm just pulling up the code. So we're going to have now, we need to basically have surround the form. So you see this one right here. We need to give this a class name.
Yep.
So a class, and what we're going to say here, this one is just going to be app_form. So I'm following BEM here.
Yep. BEM. Yep.
And let's open up app.css.
Okay, so let's go app CSS right here.
Yeah, and right now this is all the stuff that was previously in the React. So we can get rid of most of this. Let's leave text align in there, but this one we can say app, so form, so the app form. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say Let me just pull up my code to app.css. And here we have, so the one that we're interested in putting here is literally, we're going to add these rules. So we're going to say padding. So we're going to add a padding of 20 to make it sort of more padded around. So it's got a little bit more space. Display flex.
So what is this app form?
So app form is going to app.js.
Like what specifically is it? Is it this thing? Is it going to be, which thing is it going to be?
Right, it's going to be the enter a message, send a message.
This thing right over here. That's what we're trying to style right now, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And what we want to do now is we actually want to have it so that we have, 1 second, form card is this one.
Thank you, Liha. Appreciate you.
So now what we want to do is we want to have this form. So I'm just trying to find the code. So we've got app form. Yeah, so what we're going to do now is actually, so let's just let's make this very simple. So let's have it so that we have position fixed. And what position fixed is going to do is it's going to fix it to the screen regardless of how you scroll, right?
Yep.
And we're going to give it a bottom. So we're saying anchor it to the bottom of the screen.
So anchor it, meaning like move it from here all the way to the bottom, which so you guys saw it move. So that's what this bottom thing does. And then what fix does is, so even when I scroll, it will stay here. So just for example, I'm scrolling and you can see that enter a message kind of just stays there. I mean, it's not usable right now, but even if I move, it's still there. Cool.
So notice how it's behind the message.
Oh, by the way, that is pretty awesome. Isaiah earlier asked, like, have you, anybody on this YouTube feed built any projects or done anything? And then I think Sam, who's in the Profit with JavaScript community, along with Amanath, said, yeah, man, me, Leif, and Amanath, and many more are in the PWJ course and are building amazing stuff. And it seems like now what's awesome is like we're going to be seeing Isaiah in the course. He says, I think I'm going to go sign up right now. So awesome, Isaiah. You have no risk, and we're going to be seeing you this week on the live calls.
That's amazing. Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love it when people sign up on these courses.
Yeah.
So let's now check out. So we've attached it to the bottom, but you can see that it gets stuck behind, right? So we're going to use something called z-index, and we're going to say z-index of 1. So it could, as long as it's over 0, it kind of sets a precedent to say this is more important than any element without a z-index. So now if I say this, can you see now it's come to the front?
Ah, nice. Okay, so that's cool. So basically this is giving it a priority because, so by default, what's z-index of everything? Is it 0?
Yeah, so everything's going to have a flat 0. Yeah.
Nice. So everything is 0, but like because you give it a 1, if you give it a 1 or 100, it would still look the same just because it has a higher priority, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, love that. So now it's popping up and I can actually see it and I can actually type and say, so cool. So it's already somewhat working.
Yeah. Samin just asked how he can get the course. So there's a link in the description. It's in the description, right, Qazi?
The link is in the description below, guys. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, whatever, like it's going to be in the description. Just go to that link, click it, and then it's going to take you directly to the course.
Yeah. Anmol asked what language you're using. Right now we're coding in JavaScript.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So so right now it's really tightly attached to the bottom. So rather than anchoring it to a 0, I'm going to say 20 pixels up from the bottom. So it's going to slightly push it up.
Nice. I just saw like it added that little like pushed it up just a little bit when you did that.
Just tugs it a little bit up. And then what we're going to say is add another background color. So now, because
so now I see that little gray.
Nice, exactly. And what we can do here is we can even say, I think we can do it 2 ways. We can say display flex. So I'll show you something now. So if we say display flex, it should, so no, we won't do that. We'll say width 100%. So say width 100%. And what this will do is it should use up the full width of the page. You see that?
Let me see that. Yep, I see it. Okay, so beautiful. So I see this width being 100% and it moved it. So if I change this width to 50% or something, it's gonna, I see. Okay, cool. Awesome. So now it's just taking over the whole screen. Awesome. So regardless of how big the screen is.
Exactly. So it's kind of like a floating thing right now, you know?
Yep.
And what we can do now is
Yes, the style is responsive. So take a look at this, right? How much I moved it and the app is still working. So it is really, really responsive and slick.
Yep. And in our Messenger app, what we had is it had like a floating little design to it. And the way we achieved that was we pretty much wrapped the app form inside of a card element, so a Material UI element. But before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to keep it quite simple, and we're just going to add a simple margin around it. So it's going to be a margin of 20 pixels, and then what that's going to do is that's going to give us like that sort of floating effect. You see?
Yeah.
And we're going to anchor it back down to 0 because we've got a margin now, so it should be floating. So now it's kind of floating over it as opposed to what we had previously. So
Nice.
That's a very quick sort of like styling tip on how to do all that stuff. And what we're going to do now to sort of make it look extra sweet is the form control. Right now we have enter a message and then we have a bunch of stuff there. But in our app, what we had is we had type a message and press enter. Because it was very slick, right? And we just wanted it so that we had in Facebook Messenger, we simply had this sort of little icon instead. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use, rather than having a button, let's have a look. So we have,
for those of you, let me actually even show it to everybody, what that icon looks like. So if you guys are on Facebook, you can see Sonny and I having a great conversation here. I asked him if he wants to grab some food at the bar. And then at the bottom here, if I type, you see there is this arrow that shows up. So we want to use this like Facebook icon. Oh, actually, the screen we're blocking it right now. So I'll actually remove that. And now I'll show it. So you guys see that arrow? So that's the arrow we actually want in our app as well.
Yeah. That's it. And then that way we'll get that sort of nice Facebook app feel, right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to use is so Material UI gives us a really powerful icon library. So if we go over to Google and we just type in Material UI icons.
Material UI icons.
Yeah, Material UI icons, and then Material UI. There we go. And all we need to do here is firstly we need to install that package, so Material UI icons. So we need to go over to our terminal and we need to do an npm i.
And this is the one we want, right?
Yeah, that's the one that we want.
Okay,
so it's got a really nice little search tool.
And what is it? npm i what?
It's at material. So it's at material. So if you just scroll up a little bit on the right, you should be able to see at material, and you go up. You see at Material UI icons, that one there. Yeah.
Okay.
And what this will do, guys, is it will pull in all of the icons from Material UI. So now you don't only just have a design library, you have every single icon that you could possibly want. And before you think, oh, hang on, isn't that going to be heavy? It cleverly strips out the ones that you don't use. So it's actually really efficient in how it does that. But it gives you access to this entire library of icons, which is going to save you a bunch of headache when you're looking for things exactly like this.
Yep. And where should we drop that in the import? Right here?
Yeah. So what we're going to do exactly. Yeah. So we just need to import that in. And then what we're going to do is there's another thing. So if you go to the search bar in Material UI and type in icon button. So in the top search bar.
Top search.
So that one. Yeah. So it's actually a component. So there we go. And what this one does is that's how we need to write the import. So we need to just pull that in. So the second one. So we need to pull that into our code. And what this is going to do is it allows us to wrap the icon and treat it as a button, which is really nice. So now what we can do is if we go down to line 54. Right, so I just added this massive gap where we have our button and then we have the input. I'm actually going to copy and paste like the icon button. So this is the actual icon button.
Yeah.
So let's ignore this for now. So let's just get rid of this. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of our attributes that we have currently, and I'm just going to paste it into that icon button.
Nice.
So
okay.
we just do that, and then we pretty much have a space. And then all we need to do now is we actually just get rid of our button, and we replace it with that one. So now instead of our button, which we previously had, we have this icon button. So
nice.
We should be able to see if we refresh the page now. And the thing is, guys, this is really nice because we use that disabled look and feel before.
We might actually have to kind of either hide ourselves, or should we put ourselves somewhere else, like maybe top right?
Where are we saying?
Because I'll put ourselves top right. Yeah. Because we're hiding. We're gonna hide the icon once it comes up.
Right. So now if we refresh, that was a good call actually. Yeah, nice.
Refresh.
So
okay.
Refresh.
NPM start. Hey, Jessica Gross, how you doing?
Nice. We got a few.
Been a while. The OG. Amana.
She was a winner. Jessica. She was one of the winners from the JavaScript challenge that we ran, which was amazing, guys. And we will be running more soon as well. Awesome. So
dude, I like how we were like, we're not gonna, those challenges are too exhausting. Let's like take a break from it. But now we're actually doing way more than what we even had to do in those challenges. And we're like, fuck it, we'll just do it every day.
Yeah, this started off, guys. Funny little story. We started off with a little idea. We thought, let's try live training. And then we enjoyed it so much. We were like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it every single day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we were actually we were going to do it once a month. You remember that? Like, I was like, oh, mine is going to be once a month. Sonny's going to do once a month. And we're all going to do once a month. And then we're like, what about once a week? And then Sonny and I are like, how about once a day? Let's test it. Let's see what happens.
Nice. And we're actually learning a bunch. Like, we're actually building some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, this is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, nice.
So what do you want me to do?
So now you can see.
I see. There's a button right there.
Yeah, and look at what's awesome is we actually have the disabled functionality. So as soon as you start typing, notice how the button populates. So the color comes in, right?
Yeah.
Which is so nice.
That is nice. Yeah, because if I'm not typing, then it's disabled. And then as soon as I start typing, hey, it becomes enabled again. Love that.
Exactly. So that's really nice. Also, let's just change one little thing now. So where
Hi, Iveta. She's from Prophet JavaScript too. She says, guys, tell me when to sleep. She goes, so much information. So cool. Thank you, Iveta, for being here. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Love seeing students. So when we have our own messages in blue, we don't actually want to show the name, right? Like, it's a bit weird to see, like, if I'm Sonny and I'm writing on the Messenger app, I don't really want to see Sonny says, hey. I just want to see, hey.
Oh,
does that make sense?
True. Yeah, that's true. Because in Messenger, it doesn't actually say, when I wanted to go grab some food at the bar with you, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. So now what we can do is if we go over to the message.js, right?
Okay, let's go to message.js.
And what we're going to do here is right now we currently have this block of this little bit of code, right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do here is we're just going to say remember we had this is user which checked at the top of the file.
Yeah.
So at the top of the file we had is user. So on line 6.
Line 6, okay.
Yeah, remember we had is user, and that checked if the message's username. So if the message username was equivalent to you who's logged in, right?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna basically have it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So basically, if it's not you, then show the name. If it is you, then okay. So for example, I see. So for example, it'll still show Bob said something and Sonny said something, but for all of mine, it'll just be blue and text and it won't say Qazi there. Okay, perfect.
Exactly that. And the way we do that is we just simply add this one. We're saying if it's not the user, so if it's not the user who's logged in, then you show message username, and then you can show something like this. And the way you can actually, this is called string interpolation in JavaScript. So you can actually do something like this. So you can do that, and then you can have any string afterwards. So you could say says. So like, so Sonny says, a certain message, or if they want this. So now when we save this, what this code's doing is it's saying if it's not the user, then show the name tag. Otherwise, don't show it.
Got it. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's see. Oh, clean. But Bob says, okay. Maybe we can put maybe just put a colon there.
Yeah, so that's actually much clearer, yeah.
Okay, maybe maybe put a space or no after the colon. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's great. Actually, it's coming out great. Because maybe the space you just added might put. No, it's looking great. So here we go. So if I say something, hey, what is up, guys? Oh, that's clean because now it doesn't say Qazi, so that looks really nice. And if somebody else is talking, I can actually see what they're saying.
Exactly. Nice.
Nice. Okay. Love it.
Yeah, so it's very similar to the app that we built. There's a few little style differences.
Yeah.
But for the purpose of everything, I mean, do you want to change anything here, Qazi?
I think this is looking pretty good. In terms of changing anything, I mean, is this looking very, very similar to what we had created before we, like the app that we demoed? Is this part now pretty much the same as that one?
So no, so we need to get the width to be the same space, the width to be the same as the sort of rectangle that it's inside of. We need to round the borders a little bit, and then we need that little arrow to be on the right side. So we can run through that now. So what we've got here is on app.js, we've got the form control. Yeah. So we say end message. So now what we want to do is, if we go to app.js.
App.js.
What we're going to do is, we're going to get rid of the input label, so that little thing that pops up. So it was cool to show everyone, but for now what we want to do is we want to keep it clean. So we only want to have a placeholder, which is, so we get rid of the input label. So now if we save and check it, you can see we've actually got rid of that. So it's a bit cleaner now. So it just says enter a message. And when you do that.
So it doesn't like have that, like it doesn't lift up.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't lift up now. So it's just a sleek sort of field as opposed to before.
So that's a good question, Patrick. I was asking Sonny that as well, which is like, shouldn't the most recent messages be at the bottom? So yeah, that's how Facebook is, and it actually really should be like that. But for that, we have to add a lot of additional styling and then like change the UI for it a lot. And so for simplicity and like showing a tutorial, that's why we decided to go this way, just because it would add probably a few more hours to the build. Yeah,
exactly. And it's much more simpler to show the build in this direction. But I mean, if we get enough responses, we can definitely show in some other sort of session
100%.
How we do that.
100%. Okay.
Nice. So now what we want to do is we've simplified that, and now you can see that the form control. So you see on line 52, the children of form control. So you've got input and you've got icon button. Yeah. Right now, they're in a column, like they're sort of stacked on top of each other. And the way we get around that is we need to give the form control a class name. So we give it a class name, and here we can say app_form control. So I'm using BEM, we spoke about before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go into my app.css.
Yep.
And I'm going to style that now. So I'm going to say, I want the display type to be something called flex. And flex is a way of styling children inside of a parent component. So if we go to app.css, so you can see I've applied display flex. And then what I'm going to do is naturally that pushes things into a flex row. So if we check out how it looks now. So if we do Qazi, yep. So it hasn't actually changed it, and the reason being is because, so I actually, for this, Qazi, do you mind sharing your localhost 3000 with me? So if you go to the left, the extension, so you see on the live share extension, I think you actually already have, so I should be able to access the app. Nice, because I just want to open up my debugger and have a look at that as well, because sometimes what happens is Material-UI actually overrides a lot of rules, which is why you might have seen the exclamation mark important at certain points when I was coding earlier when we were going through some stuff.
Yeah.
So let's look. So I'm just having a check now on my screen. So let's see. there any questions that we have? Did you have a GitHub account? How do you okay, no. So here we go. So let's have a look. Flex direction column. Yeah. So exactly. So now I want you to do, Qazi, is if you right click, this is actually a really good demonstration of how the rules get applied, like overwritten. Sorry. So and if you inspect that, the enter a message. So you might need to just zoom out a little bit for this one. On inside the terminals, if you hover over that one and then you do it, yeah.
Trying to bring this down. Okay, so what do you want me to do?
Yeah. So if you click on the inspector, so the little inspect thing. Yeah. Click on the input, so enter a message. Yep. And if you just go up a level, so up an element, and go up again. And you see that one, right there. So app form control. So you can see it applied the class that we wanted, right? But what happened is if you click that now, so click that, and then if you you need to drag up the thing now. So you can even drag up most of the so there you go. So you see Material-UI form control root, right? So that's all the rules that Material-UI have added. But notice how it's overwritten R1.
Yeah, like literally just freaking overrode it. Yeah.
So it just overwrote it because Material-UI takes precedence when you use it.
Should we write important there and then it'll like move it here?
Yeah, so ideally, given more time, you can use something called Material-UI theming. But in this case, for the sort of if we just want to overwrite it, then what we do is I've just added it now. So I've added important, and now this should override those rules and it will take precedence.
It looks like it did. Yeah, like it actually went from being this is actually pretty cool. It's my first time seeing this overriding clearly like this. So that's actually awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the first step, right? And then the second step that we want to do is notice how it has flex direction column in Material-UI. So by default, typically when you apply flex rules, your direction is row.
Yeah.
But we want to go back to a row because we want that the little arrow icon to be a row as opposed to what it was before. So now what we do is I'm going to change that to 90% as well to make it a bit clearer. So if we refresh now. So oh no, sorry, we need to do important as well because remember it takes precedence. Yeah. So there we go. And now you can see we've already got it looking somewhat right. Okay, it's almost there, but it's not perfect yet.
Now, yeah, the experience is becoming actually really nice.
Yeah, so it's starting to it's almost there, but we just need to do one more thing now.
Okay.
And the way we do that is
what are we trying to do though visually?
So visually now, you see how we have enter a message and we have that icon, right?
Yep.
Now what we need to do is play with a flex rule, and it's literally called flex.
But what do we want it to do? Like, do we want this symbol to go to the right? Like, what are we trying to actually do?
Because remember, so what we're trying to do now is we're trying to allow the enter a message box to take up as much room as it wants and push that other icon all the way to the right. We don't want to tell it. We don't want to tell it do it by 30 pixels or 40 pixels. We want it to figure that out on its own.
Got it.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So that way it's always responsive regardless of what the screen size is.
Nice. Got it. Okay.
So now what we're going to do is if we go to, I think let's go to the button, so app.js. And let's go to icon button.
Got it.
So here, I'm going to give it a class name. So a class name, and this one we're going to say is app __. Let's just call it icon button. And this icon button right now, we're going to go ahead and give that a style in CSS. So we're going to give it icon button. And here,
where are you?
Inside app.css.
Got it.
Yep. So here we're going to say, so for that class, we're going to say flex 0. So this might be enough for it to work, but we might actually need to give the input field more precedence. So that looked like it didn't do it. So what we need to do now is also, if we go back to app.js, so where we have the input field, we need to give that a class name. So we need to say class name equals app __ input. Save and go back to our CSS. And here we need to say app input flex 1. And now what this is doing is it's saying whenever you have a flex container, so form control is a wrapping container, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really good lesson for everyone who's new to Flexbox. So form control is essentially what is wrapping the enter a message and that little icon that we had. And Flex by default is only going to use up as much space as we want as it needs to. And then it sort of doesn't use up the rest of the space. But here what we said is we want the input field to take up as much room as it needs to. And we want the icon button to only take up the minimal amount of space. Which is why it figured out on its own the exact amount to sort of work out and to get itself right.
Nice. And now it's responsive. So if I make it big or if I make the page small, it'll work.
Yep, exactly. And you get a really, really nice consistent UI and everything works really sweet. So it's really, really clean and it gives everything really nice sort of finish to it.
Yeah. That is awesome. Love that. Okay.
Oh, that was me. Oops. Yeah, because I didn't have the name. Nice. Okay, and also, right, that's actually a good point. So I didn't, what happened there is I skipped the name prompt, right? And it says no. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one last thing right now where and this is actually a common use case. Whenever you have a no sort of scenario, we don't want it to say no. We want it to say something like unknown user.
I see. Yep. Because right now it's saying null, and we want that to say unknown user, right? That's over here.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly. So the way we do that is we say, so here where we have message username, right? We can add something called a pipe. So we pipe it and we say, so if it doesn't exist, you can actually just do something like this, and you can say unknown user.
Nice. Okay. Clean. Easy. Boom.
And that means that if it's a no value, it will go to that one.
Okay, and if I refresh and let's say I have no value and I'm just testing this out, hello, and then I refresh again, and now this time I'm a Manath, it should show unknown user to my last messages because I didn't set up a name.
Exactly, which is really nice, right?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Nice.
That's what Amanath actually said.
Nice. There's a few subtle differences, like the typography at the top where we have hello clever programmer. That's something small that we could implement if you want, or it's up to you now what we can do.
I think let's deploy this because this is actually a great experience, and I think everybody in here would agree that this is awesome. And I think at this point, let's just figure out how to deploy it online so now we can actually use it online.
Awesome. So this is the really cool part, right? So what we need to do now is head over to your terminal. So we need to head over to your terminal, and we just need to do, so for many people that wouldn't have actually set this up before, they wouldn't have Firebase installed. So you'd have to do a global install on Firebase tools. So I think it's npm install Firebase, and then I think it's dash tools, right? Or it's like Firebase dash tools. So I think it's all one word. So Firebase dash tools.
It's that right there. So you would have to do that line right there that we just showed you if you don't have Firebase installed already.
Yeah. So this is going to install it across every single project on your computer. So it means that whenever you use Firebase CLI, you have access to it. So you need to do that before we run what we're going to do now. So the next step is you need to do Firebase init, right? And this will bring up a really beautiful UI. And then all you need to do here is use the arrow keys to go down to hosting, enter, and use an existing project. And here we just need to find the project that we created. So Facebook Messenger clone. And here is where you need to be careful, guys. So the first one, you need to write build.
Build. Yeah, this is important, guys.
Yeah, you need to type build here.
So now let's actually show them. Yeah, so what's going to happen is right now you guys see this app, Facebook Messenger clone. Inside of it, you don't see build anywhere yet. But once I write this build right there, this is actually going to create a separate folder, probably right around here, called build. And that's what it's going to store. And then we're going to actually push that and deploy that.
Exactly. So build, configure as a single page app, yes.
So that's another important one. You can't do it by default, so make sure you write that Y and hit enter.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys see that? Now we got build right over here, actually. And if I look inside of it, it's we haven't built it yet, but once I build it, it's gonna have all the stuff inside of this.
Yeah. So the first thing we need to do, and this is, you need to do this before you deploy. So a lot of people actually deploy their app and then they're wondering why they get the Firebase page that says, hey, like, thank you for pushing something to Firebase, but nothing actually comes up. You need to run npm run build. So let's go ahead and run that now. And guys, what this does is it strips out all of the sort of developer tools and everything that you don't need in the production environment. So it creates an optimized production build and it chucks it all inside build. Now we never actually have to touch that folder. It's npm is going to do all of that for us, but we can't delete that. It's something which is very important because that's what's actually going to get served.
One quick thing, guys. Just would love just need to ask you for a favor, and this would be huge help if you guys did this. So this tutorial is a long tutorial, and I realized that the tutorials that work the best for me are the ones that actually have timestamps next to them. So like specific things that happen and like what period when they happen, and then for users to be able to click them in a really easy way. So if any one of you guys would just add all the timestamps, what we were doing where, we would just like upload it to our description and to our comments, and it would make it for everyone extremely easy to go back to this tutorial and go through it and go through whichever part they want.
Exactly. That would be awesome. That would actually help a lot of people out.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. So the build is done.
Now so this is where the magic happens, right? So we're about to run one command and it's about to deploy, pop a URL on the screen. But before we do that, Qazi, I think it's more of a party trick now. So like, I want everyone who's like sort of enjoyed this or found some kind of value from this to like, if you're on Instagram or something like that, story it. Show us when you get the app launched and you start using the app. And it's always a fun thing because we get to see and we get to interact with all of you guys.
And when you guys take stories, please take videos and tag us in there. Pictures look really lame, so it's kind of like like every time I'm like, I'm gonna repost your picture, but like it's not fun. Take a story, maybe even flip it around, show yourself, then show us and this code that you're doing. So if you even want to do that right now, you can do that. And my account is Clever Qazi, and Sonny is
one more S. Yeah, there we go.
Awful username. You got to change at some point. 4 S's.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys. So take the story and then add us on Instagram, and we will repost your story. And we want to do this every single day, so that would be great. I mean, we could even start some kind of hashtag, like hashtag Clever Programmer. Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
But just tag us in the meantime. We'll repost your story and respond to you.
Exactly. So, moment of truth now. Let's deploy the app and then we'll share the link and then everyone can jump on and see all of this real-time stuff happening.
Nice. Serena just said, great work. Just signed up for your JS course. Awesome. So glad to have you.
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we doing now, Sonny?
So we are going to deploy. So in the terminal, we just need to write Firebase deploy.
Boom.
We've already
done
npm run build. And now this is it, guys. There's no crazy stuff that's happening right now. It's doing all of the work for us.
This blows my mind that this is about to be online right this second. This blows my freaking mind.
That is the link that is going to be live right now with everything that we just built, and it's literally deployed and it's up right now, which is awesome. So let's give that. Do you just want to drop the URL, Qazi?
Wow, this is deployed and online. The URL, let me see if Restream chat, maybe I could drop it in there. Restream chat, and boom, move that. Okay, cool. Dropped it into Restream chat. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's literally live, guys. It's online. Sonny just says, yo, what is up, guys?
Awesome.
And it's just showing up everywhere. Awesome. Okay.
There we go.
This is so cool. Yeah, your name should actually be Papa React. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a solid name. You should become Papa React. I'll be Papa Python.
That would be dope.
That's
Like
that's good branding, Amanat. Great point. I love that point.
nice. Papa React. I would do that. Awesome. Look at that. We have people popping in. Everyone from Dubai. We got someone from Dubai. Thank you for this. Awesome. You're welcome.
They're so sick. What's up, dude? Thanks for this. Joshua, you got it. This is awesome. This is so cool. So sick. Oh boy, this is cool. Beginner programmer. Amanat says, wow. Filani says, thank you, gents. This is awesome.
Love you from Morocco.
Wow.
Hey, nice. I love seeing this.
This
dude.
is so cool. Guys, we built this
London.
together. This is awesome. This blows my mind. Yeah, guys, this is the idea. You know, we somebody just said, "Geez, guys, I love this." Somebody just said, "I haven't even gotten a chance to finish the one from the day before, and you guys are already here with another banger. Let's go!"
Nice.
We're gonna be bringing the heat this month, guys. We're bringing the heat. Sunny and I are just like, how can we just push ourselves to the max? And one of the things we came up with is, yeah, go ahead.
We were just saying, yeah, like we set out to originally do like twice a week, and then we were like, screw it, every day. Let's go every day.
It started out once a month is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a lot of fun. But like, to be honest, guys, what makes it fun is if it was just us, we would be bored out of our minds, and we would probably not do this anymore. What makes it extremely fun is because you allow us to be on this platform, and then you're having this conversation back and forth with us. So even when I'm looking in the chat, I mean, like, for example, there was somebody named Healthy and Fit in the chat channel, and she was putting so many comments about how she's a beginner, she's learning coding and HTML and CSS. And then I saw Yamna helping her, I saw Leif helping her, I saw Amanath talking to her, and Sam, and literally all these people who are in Profit with JavaScript community just helping her. And this YouTube, like, that is a solid community, so positive, so healthy. That is amazing. And so when we see that, that's what makes us come alive and then actually show up all the time for you guys.
Yeah, and I think if it's one thing, like, the course is amazing in itself, guys, but the community is like, it amazes me every day how amazing this community is. The support they have for each other, the support that, I think, honestly, like, before I even get to answer somebody's question, somebody from the community has already done it. So, like, it's like a super jacked up Stack Overflow, but it's literally at your fingertips. We have a Slack community where everyone's talking. It's honestly the most friendly, welcoming community, and it really, really does push everyone.
Here we go. I just linked the course too, so you guys can actually click that link. Probably it's not a clickable link. You can copy it and then paste it.
There you go.
We're adding all the tracking in there too. Actually, nice. Actually, for this tracking, maybe we should have, you know, this is coming from the, what is this? FB Messenger.
Oh yeah, we should FB Messenger clone.
Yeah, so right there. So yeah, guys, use that link if you're gonna join the program, because we want to see where you're coming from and what made you join.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have Joshua saying, thank you, Qazi. Of course. Praise has just finished the course. Beautiful. Khaled says, amazing. Arjun says, thank you, Qazi. Love it, guys. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all the love. Awesome.
Amazing.
Is that it, Sonny?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're done, dude. I think that was an amazing session. It went much better than I thought.
Yeah, that was mind-blowing. Because, we thought it was going to take forever, and we were really never going to finish on time.
Yeah, that was actually a perfectly timed session, and I think everyone enjoyed that.
Yeah,
and amazing.
And a great book ending, you know, where, like, everybody got to use it and everything. That's so sick.
That's it.
Maribon says, well done, Sonny.
What is that? What is she saying that?
I dropped it on the screen. Dropped it on the screen.
There
you go.
That's my girlfriend, guys. She's a lovely girl.
By the way, I found somebody on TikTok who looks a lot like Maribon. And
oh, really?
Yeah, like, and I looked at her video, and then I thought that, but I didn't even say it. Frankie watched the video. He was like, without me even saying anything, he was like, yo, she actually looks like Maribon. And then I showed this video to Amberly and never told her anything. She was watching it. She's like, is that? He's like, she looks like Maribon. And on
really?
Yep. Yeah. I'll show you on TikTok.
What's her name? Champagne Mommy?
No. It's on TikTok. Let me see if I can actually. I have her. I'm following her. Let's see. I'll pull this up real quick.
That's so funny.
TikTok. Her name is TikTok Brown Chick, something like that, and she's really good. I was watching some of her content. She's actually like makes really good TikTok content. I think this is it.
Yeah.
But her M&M one, if I can pull it up. Oh, I don't think anybody else is seeing this. This is the one that's really good. So let me see if I can, on my eCam, have everybody actually listen to this, because that would be cool. Sounds. I have to go into sounds. You guys can't. Yeah, if I played it right this second, right, you guys are actually not able to hear it until I enable the system sounds.
I think I'll be able to hear it if it comes through. So I'll let you know.
Okay, let me.
No, actually, no, maybe not, because I'm not. We're doing a different share, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to play system sounds in the fastest way possible, but having a little bit of difficulty figuring that out. Let's see here. System audio. Cool. And so I'll mute Sonny. I'll mute you for a second, okay?
Okay.
But yeah. Whoa.
You have to click the unmute button at the top.
I see.
Indian outside a gas station, so now you're shaking your head, tensing your brow, wondering how did she figure this out? Oh my God, those Indians, they got me singing. Holy cow! Now I'm not trying to go and start a feud. This is just a little tune. Things that Twitter feed will never show to you, and it's a message that every color paints a better view. 'Cause there's a savage in everyone, baby, even you.
That's so funny.
So good. So good.
I'm a savage. I'm a savage. You so surprised to see.
Dude, I was like blown away when I saw that. I was like, wow,
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Do you think that looks like Mehban?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see.
I mean,
that's so funny, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it could be off. It's like, once you know the person more, all their how different they are. But like when you know them generically, like you haven't met them or talked to them, they're just like, oh, this same skin color must be the same person.
Yeah, I'll plug her. She's Champagne Mommy. Everyone can go and check if she looks similar.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
Okay, now let me see what am I actually doing, because yo, Sonny, speak real quick.
Yo, hello.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody can see this. Where did the comments go? I hit the comments. Okay, awesome. You guys can hear us normally now, right?
I think they can.
Even Amanat, even he's like, yo, she really does look like Amanat. But Mehban is a lot cooler, because Mehban can actually dance, It's all right when everybody can sing, but dancing is a whole nother skill.
She does TikToks with me, and I try and keep up, and I just can't handle it, man. she's too good for me.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for making it so awesome. Give us some ideas for what you would want to see tomorrow. What I would even recommend is like take your phone out, on Instagram story, just tag us, share your story, and then maybe even tell us like what challenge you want to see next. Because if we start hearing it from your voice and in person, that is a lot more impactful than like just getting one text message, out of the many. So if we can see why you want some kind of, so I'll just give you some ideas, right? The e-commerce project. Somebody dropped in a message earlier with a good project idea, and I forgot what it was. But yeah, but regardless of whatever your ideas are, just shoot them to us. What type of stuff you would want to see? Maybe you want to see us build a Stripe with React or Instagram. Yeah, somebody said Instagram clone. So you want to see Instagram clone. So whatever it is, just let us know.
TikTok clone. Oh shit, that'd be cool.
That could be fun.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
And guys, we'll love this, because like we love building new stuff. So like there's no bad ideas for an app. Like you can just ping them our way, and we can literally just start building it. Yeah.
Yep. Michael says music app. Somebody said Instagram clone. Somebody said TikTok clone, right? The one. Yeah. So as of now, what time are going to be the lectures? When are we going to be doing? We don't even know, guys. Like we're just kind of off the cuff getting inspired and going, because we wanted to do it once a month. So if you ask us on a
Yep.
schedule, like we'll just say once a month, but we're just so inspired and we love the energy. So then we're just like, let's go. Like, let's just do another one today. So we don't know. We will try to find out, like, since we're going to be doing this more regularly, what I want to do is like just ahead of time put what the project is going to be. So if you guys shoot us an idea and it's overwhelming majority saying that idea, then what we want to do is just, I'll make a thumbnail, put it up on YouTube, and then schedule a live stream. And then tomorrow we can all build that app together.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yep.
I would love to actually learn even like Python stuff. Like this time was sort of me teaching Qazi React, like all that, going through some React stuff. I've never actually coded much Python, so it'll be so fun to do it the other way. We can go through some of that stuff, you know?
That could be fun too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do some machine learning.
That's it. We'll do some machine learning. We'll get Jacob on. We'll do some automation.
Oh, yeah. With Jacob, building front end and all that with Python and React. People are going to go crazy with that.
Yeah.
A YouTube clone would be fun. A YouTube clone would be extremely fun. And the reason why that would be fun for me, a lot of fun for me, is because like I want my own website where I can like show videos, YouTube videos. And so that actually, like personally, it's exciting for me and inspiring because I would want to use that app.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Okay. Anything else, Sonny, before we sign off?
No, I think like everyone, it's just been an amazing like sort of response today. It's been awesome to like read through comments. Love it. Been crazy.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Again, thank you guys so much for all your love. You guys are saying some amazing things like, it's so fucking responsive. Somebody said, script alert, hello. I'm following you. You guys are just amazing. Build Twitter clone next. So awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the love. This is the app that we built. It's a Facebook Messenger clone. You can see it scales extremely well. It's online. And no matter who's using it, like instantly it's scaling, right? You guys all started using it all at the same time. And it's not bugging out. Everybody has a great user experience. With that said, thank you guys so much for signing in today. We might go live tomorrow. Actually, we will go live tomorrow. The goal is to start around 8 a.m. But what keeps happening is that we keep having lots of new ideas. And so then the time keeps getting pushed more and more back. And then we end up starting a lot later. So tomorrow we'll try to go live between 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. somewhere around that time and really push ourselves to be more disciplined and really get around that time. But yeah, that's the window. Just be open to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And as soon as you see the notification come through, just jump on it.
That's it. Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Really appreciate you.
Guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.
Sonny, you killed it.
Thank you very much. I'm glad they're enjoying it.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
All right. See you guys.